Oh, here it go. Good afternoon and welcome back to Lit Lane. I am Demetri Lit All Day. This is my channel, Demetri Lit All Day, otherwise known as Lit Lane. And I am coming back to you guys with another trial watch reaction review sort of content. Now, this is going to be a trial that was not shown on court TV. It wasn't national. Um, So it's gonna be totally off the grid for you guys. Something you hadn't heard about, probably hadn't seen nothing about. It took place 3 years ago. It actually took quite my attention about a year ago. I've been meaning to bring this trial forward for a little bit. It's the state of Georgia versus Hilliard's Rooks, and it's a case or a trial where the jury is being asked to determine whether the defendant is actually purposely a murderer or unfortunately fatally negligent. Hey Daniel, good afternoon. Hey Sunshine, good to see you, girl. Let me go let me go do something about these dogs. Oh my god. Hold on, y'all. Hey, Foot Soldier, P.O.P. hold me down. Let me see. Somebody asked me the other day, what I be meaning by that. I gotta find that old meme where I got that from. That's from that meme from years ago when that girl was going to jail. She said, I'm legally blind. I love you, mama. P.O.P. hold me down. Hold on 1 second. Rock, Apollo, stop all that noise. Oh, that's Apollo. I'm sorry, Rock. Hush, hush, all that noise. You want to get in the cage? That's next. You going in the cage, about to take your hush again. Come lay down the field. Y'all come watch me talk. Come on. Sorry about that. But I hope today y'all all had a great day. I had a great day today. Basically, you got my back. Right. P.O.P. hold me down. I'm legally blind. But I hope you guys are having a great day today. I have had a great day just while we're getting started here. Hey, VA Sag. Welcome back to the Lit Lane Jury Box, you guys. I had a good day today. I went to go pick up my 30-day chip at the meeting, at my AA meeting. I still go to NA, but I mainly, like right now, I'm really going to AA a whole lot because I just really identify with them folks up there. I identify with the people at NA, okay? But sometime at the NA meetings, I have a tendency to make it feel like I'm better than, or not better than, but different from, right? When people get to sharing about this drug and smoking crack and all that kind of stuff, which an addict is an addict is an addict. However, in my grandiose mind, sometimes I'm able to kind of put myself apart from them, like, oh, I didn't do all that, or oh, I never did that. But when I go to an AA meeting, it ain't no putting me apart. It ain't no, oh, I didn't get that bad, or oh, that I don't recognize, I don't relate to that. Okay, when I'm sitting in an AA meeting, it don't matter how them people look, what color they are, how old they is or not. I fit in perfectly, and when they talk, everything matches up to me. You know what I'm saying? So this time around, I'm going to more AA meetings, and today I went and picked up my 30-day chip. One day at a time. So I'm feeling good. And I got home and I didn't go outdoor dashing or nothing. So I said, I'll come on here early today so we can get into this trial. But I'll be coming on in the evening. Okay. I know I'm crazy. So this trial here is a trial. Hey, Winter. No, I got the reason I haven't done the ride along yet is because I need to buy a um I need to buy a phone stand for my car that's better than the one I got now. That way I can put the camera up in the window and y'all can actually ride along and see. You know what I'm saying? So that's the only thing. It's been on my mind went to trust me, trust me, trust me, trust me. I'm gonna get that taken care of. I promise by next week I will have that set up in my car. So that way it can be a real ride along. Okay? And as a matter of fact, I need to let me real quickly hold on, let me real quickly do this real quick so I can remember. Hold on, let me see. Reese, do you still have my phone? My second phone? I need my phone back if you got a new phone because I need to be using it. Let me know if you got my phone still, and that way I can come pick it up. All right, bye. All right. So that's another thing. I wanted to get my old phone from my son so I can have a second phone to be using and so I can be taking care of my business. All right. So y'all up in here, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And y'all know I was sitting in a meeting today, my overly emotional ass. I can't talk to me without busting out crying. But oh well, it's the feelings and emotions of it all. Let's talk about this case. This is the state of Georgia. We watched like one trial. I can't remember what that trial was about, but we watched. What was that trial about? That was over there on Trial Watch with Demetri Channel. We watched the trial that took a couple of days. What was it? It was real interesting. It was a short trial. Something about some woman. What happened to her? I can't remember. I can't remember. Hey, Liz. Assalamu alaikum. I'm happy and excited too. I feel real, real, real good. And I don't know. I don't know. I feel good every time I get it together, right? And I've been talking to my family in this last few days, and I hadn't been talking to my aunties and them because I've been just hiding under a rock somewhere, So it's like things are slowly coming back together and getting how it's supposed to be. So that's what it is. But anywho, about this trial, this is the state of Georgia versus Hilliard's Rooks. Like I was saying before y'all really got up in here, more people, this trial was not featured on court TV or none of that. It wasn't on no news channel being streamed live. So this is totally off the radar. The reason why it caught my attention because it's an adult son on trial, Hilliard's Rooks. He's being accused of unaliving his elderly mother. Okay? So to me, when I heard just a little bit of it, it caught my attention and made me question myself on, is this actually a case of negligence, fatal negligence, or did he intentionally cause his mom to perish? And I think that's going to be a question that you guys are going to be asking yourself too, and I hope we can have some great conversation. The trial itself lasted 5 business days, court days. It may take us if I come on and do it consistently, it may take us like a couple of 2 weeks in the evenings, maybe, I know for a fact I'll come on here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday evenings. So we just go like that, okay? So without further ado, let's get into these opening statements. And at one point, on some point on here, baby, this judge he'll show all the pictures. So I gotta be real careful that when it gets to showing these pictures of this woman, that I don't get y'all all disturbed. And I'm gonna have to make sure I cover it up. Okay. So, anywho, without further ado, let's get into the opening statements and see if we take interest in this trial here. The state of Georgia versus Hilliard's Brooks, accused of unaliving his elderly mother.
Statement and say, oh, I know what happened in this case. Because, of course, you haven't heard any evidence yet. You've just heard the lawyers tell you what they think it would be.
Okay, so Little Lane Jury Box. The instructions he giving this jury, just act like I'm telling y'all that, okay?
Deliberations should not begin until the evidence is closed and I've given you the law you must apply.
Yes, we're going to be doing evening court.
Corollary of that means don't, during your first lunch break, start talking with each other about, can you believe what that witness said? Talk about anything else but the trial when you guys are on breaks in the jury room. Until deliberation time, you will have as much time as you need to work through the issues in this case. There's not a clock that is running during deliberations. That clock does not start, however, until the evidence is closed, the lawyers have given closings, and I've told you what the law is. Until you start those deliberations, it would be improper for you, and thus you must not discuss this case with anyone. You don't talk about it with yourselves because that's starting deliberations early, but you don't talk about it with friends, family members. You certainly don't go to Facebook and say, whoo, I've got this case and this is what it's about. And the reason for that is we don't want you getting any evidence outside this. And can you help me? Do the two screens or only one screen have your presentation?
I think he made the instructions for me.
Both screens. Happy day.
So on this trial, I'm going to try my best not to be making my mind up and already saying the man guilty. I'm going to practice me some open-mindedness and some willingness to remain open-minded. Now, I'm saying this now, and it may last all of 10 minutes, okay? Okay. That's why I'm a YouTube judge. Let me go on mute.
Your mother. This is a statement that is heard across the way. And what does one mean to honor your mother? You treat her with dignity. You respect her. And you care for her. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what the evidence will show in this case is that this defendant, Rooks, failed to honor his mother. But what he did do was succeed in giving her back. See, ladies and gentlemen, what the evidence will show is that this defendant, because of his disdain, his anger, and his greed towards his mother, caused her to suffer for at least 2 years leading up to this day of February 8th, 2017, when Ms. Mendoza Rooks was found inside of her home, lying naked on the ground with severe decubitus ulcers, flies and maggots coming out of her body, feces and urine surrounding her, and she laid in that position for at least 5 days until police were called on February 8th, 2017. And it's the defendant's actions over the course of months and several years that brings us here today. Now, as you heard Judge McBride just tell you, that the charges of this indictment are murder, felony murder, neglect to an elder person, exploitation of an elderly person, and unreasonable confinement of an elder. And these charges derive from what we first learned on February 8th, 2017. So let's talk about February 8th, 2017. This defendant, Rooks, you will learn is Ms. Mendoza Rooks' son. And we're going to talk about who Ms. Mendoza Rooks is in a moment. You will learn that he called 911. And when he called 911, he told the operator that his mother was dead and that it was expected. As a matter of fact, they're trying to find out if it's an emergency, they need to rush to give her some help and some care. So don't rush, it was expected. So you're going to learn that officers come to the scene. And you're going to hear from Officer Peck. And he was with the Atlanta Police Department. And he, along with another officer, arrived to 1251 York Avenue, which is in Atlanta, Georgia. And you're going to hear that Officer Pechtel, as he arrived, could smell a stench. He's going to tell you that the stench is undescribable. And as he gets out the car, along with his colleague, they walk to the door and start to see flies flying outside. And when they go inside, they see a woman, an elderly woman, lying on the ground, look partially naked. What they see, she's partially naked, and she has a blanket covered over her. They speak to Mr. Rooks. He tells us my mother, and they take off the blanket a little, and they see some injury to her. Now, because it was an elderly woman at home, it appears to be a suspicious death, the medical examiner's office responds to the scene. And you're going to hear from medical examiner investigator Gilbo. He's no longer with the Fulton County Medical Examiner's office, but he's going to say that he arrives. And he'll tell you that this is not the first time he's arrived to an elder case in which they had to take the body. But there were things that were alarming to him, such that he thought it was necessary to call the homicide unit out. And what did he see that was concerning? Was large decubitus ulcers on Mrs. Rooks' body. And inside of those ulcers were several levels of fly and several levels of development. In addition to that, she was laying in her urine and there was feces surrounding her. He could observe that there were no diapers in the home. The home was in complete disarray. And specifically, there was a couch that was tipped over with all of the cushions out of the couch. And that alarmed him. So at that moment, he said, we need to call the homicide because there needs to be a further investigation as to what has happened to this house. So you're going to learn that several members of the homicide unit arrive on the scene, and that the lead detective, Kevin Leonpacher, comes on the scene. Now you're going to learn that they had spoken to, Detective Leonpacher spoke with the responding officer, and the responding officer had some initial conversation with the detective. And the responding officer will tell you that he tried to want to understand what was happening. But essentially, Detective Leonpacher decides, after hearing all this information, he as well goes and speaks with the defendant and asks him kind of what has led us to this end. And you will learn, and you will also hear, because you're going to hear this picture, that the defendant tells Detective Leonpacher a series of events that happened over the course of days leading up to February 8, 2017. And it's going to have to go back to the Friday before, which is February 3rd, 2017. Excuse me, Thursday, February 2nd, 2017. The defendant proceeds to tell Detective Leonpacher that the last time I spoke to my mother and heard her voice was on February 2nd, 2017. And she said something to the effect of, there goes my son. He will say that on Friday, he sees his mother and he tried to feed her some soup, but she didn't eat. Kind of dripped out, she didn't eat. He's on Friday or Saturday. He's going to tell you that his mother, who he had moved from her bedroom into the living room to sleep, had been sitting on the couch and she was stuck in the couch. And as her body was stuck in the couch and they could not get her up, he made the decision to turn the couch over and pull her out of the couch to which she was stuck to. And as he pulled her off of the couch and pulled her body off of the couch, the position where she laid is where she stayed there until Wednesday, February. That on either Saturday or Sunday, the evidence will show, is that he told officers that he did roll her an orange on the ground for her to eat because she was still laying in that position. He's going to tell you, or he told Detective Leonpacher, that on that Sunday, which was the Super Bowl Sunday, specifically the Super Bowl that the Falcons were in, that he went to his cousin's house while his mother laid on the ground and watched the Super Bowl. Now, when he told Detective Leonpacher that she wasn't talking, he did not get her any emergency care. He did not call 911 to help her. He came in and out for multiple days while leaving her on the ground. He goes to.
Wait. So you mean to tell me this man, they alleging that this man admits that his mama was in the same spot on the floor in her house for more than 3 days. And he just left her there and rolled her an orange to eat. Got it. Wow.
He goes to the game. He comes back home. On Monday, she's still sitting in that position. He goes to work, comes back home. She's breathing and snoring now, but she's not talking to him. Then on Wednesday, he goes back. It's getting up to go to work at about 5 o'clock in the morning. He says something to her, she doesn't respond. He gets up, takes a shower, and when he comes back, she's cold to the touch. He then calls some family members and then eventually calls 911 and tells them, you don't have to rush, because she was already expected to be there. So at that point, you want to hear the type of Liam Hopper says, I think we need to investigate this a little bit more. Because you didn't even call the police when you pulled her off the couch. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to learn that after he tells them this version of events, they decide they need to go down to the Atlanta Police Department headquarters to have a more formal interview. And so they take Mr. Rooks, the defendant, down to Atlanta Police headquarters. And they speak with him again. And after speaking to him, Detective Liam Hopper takes out arrest warrants on that same day. Now, although he took out arrest warrants, his investigation did not stop there. He continued his investigation.
Oh, that's the
mama. And what did he continue his investigation? He learned about Miss Matilda Rooks. This is Miss Rooks. You will learn that upon her death, she was 83 years old. That she was a retired former school teacher, had taught in the Atlanta public school system. She had been retired for a good 30 years at the time of her death, retiring sometime in the 80s. That she was married to Jimmy Lee Rooks, the defendant's father, and she had 2 sons, Hillius Rooks and Addison Rooks. What you will learn is that they lived at 1251 North Avenue, moving into that house around the mid-60s. And that was the home that Hillius and his brother grew up in. And so she was still living in. You're going to learn that around 2006, Addison died at home. And then in about 2012, Mr. Jimmy Lee Rooks died. So the only surviving family member, immediate, was the defendant, Hillius Rooks. Now you're going to learn that Hillius Rooks had a son, Cameron Rooks, and we're going to talk about Cameron in a moment. Now, as his investigation continued, he started speaking to other people familiar with the Rooks and the Rooks family. He first speaks with Catherine Alston. You're going to hear from Ms. Alston, you're going to see Ms. Alston. And Ms. Alston will tell you that she was a lifelong neighbor of the Rooks family. That she moved in, her family moved in maybe a few months before the Rooks family, and then they kind of grew up together. And as the years went by, she moved from home or returned home, but always kind of checked on Ms. Rooks, as a neighbor would do, especially for that period of time. And what you're going to learn is as Ms. Rooks got older, and specifically the periods after her husband died, which is around 2012, she started to see Ms. Rooks kind of deteriorate this. And she was familiar with it.
So let me say, hey, Daquan out loud on since I hit pause, and let me say, hey, Bird, welcome back to the Lit Lane Jury Box. Hey, Lady Aries, welcome back to the Lit Lane Jury Box. We just starting. It's the opening statements. The state is giving its presentation on the screen right now. Is the victim in this case, Miss Madota Rooks. The state is alleging that her son, Hillius Rooks, uh, is responsible for her unaliving by way of, I'm saying, now this is my words, by way of negligence. Okay, she was 83 years old, and that's what we're watching right now. What caught my attention about this case is that I'm wondering, was this negligence or unaliving? And I'm trying to stay open-minded, but already I'm like, wait a minute. He let her stay on the floor for 3 days and just walked over for 3 days? Child, it's a mess. But this is the state giving its opening statements. The state of Georgia versus Hillius Brooks. He's on trial for unaliving his 83-year-old mother. That's her picture right there, Miss Madota Brooks. Thank y'all for joining.
Because her own mother had suffered from dementia, so she saw some signs that she kind of saw, and she would tell Mr. Rooks, "Hey, I think your mom is suffering. Do you need help? You know, I've been through this before, so I got resources. I can help you get resources. I can walk you through the process. There's different organizations and programs that can help you with your mom. Do you need help? Can I help?" And he would decline. He would decline her assistance and said he got it. And she would say every time she would speak to him, it wasn't every day because she didn't live there, but she still owned the home there. She would say that to him. And he always declined. You're going to hear from Jacqueline Williams, who knew Hillius for about 20 years. They had dated in the early 90s. But their relationship and friendship still continued into the 2000s. And what she will tell you that she also had experience with a family member suffering from dementia. And so when she started noticing some cognitive things, she would say, "Hey, you need to get your mom some help. I can help you." And he would decline. Also, what she will tell you, and she would decline. Then you're going to have Anthony and Vincent Williams, no relation to Jacqueline Williams, who are the cousins of the defendant. You're going to learn that Ms. Mendoza comes from a large group of siblings, about 8 to 10 of them, something like it's about 8 siblings, and that their mother was her sister, and that over the course of time they won't say they noticed her decline, but they did always offer to kind of help Hillius watch Ms. Rooks. Anthony told police officers that, you know, I offered to come over and watch Ms. Rooks, and Hillius would say, "No, I got it." Vincent also made suggestions like, "Hey, you should get a nurse to help take care of your mom." And he would say, "No, I got it." And then you're going to hear from Cameron Rooks, the defendant's son. You're going to learn that Cameron, at a period of time when he was in high school, actually lived with Ms. Mendoza and Mr. Jimmy Lewis. Mr. Jimmy Lewis was still alive at that time. And when Cameron graduated from high school and went to college, when he come back home, he would kind of check on his mother, check on his grandmother, excuse me. And after his grandfather died, he actually started being responsible for taking his grandmother to grocery shop and taking care of her. And he'll tell you that he started to see his grandmother's memory decline as well. So much so that it got to the point where he said, "You know what, Grandma, I won't take you, but I will get the groceries and come bring it to you." And he will also tell you that the defendant started to prevent him from coming over to the house. Now, how did he prevent her from coming over to the house? What you're going to learn is that the defendant purchased a dog, a Rottweiler. And you'll hear from a few witnesses that Rottweiler, as it got older, got more vicious. So much so that people were afraid to go to the house. And what Cameron will tell you is that the dog got so vicious and almost bit him that he stopped going to the house. But he was under the impression that his father was taking care of his grandparents. So he thought that everything was okay. But ladies and gentlemen, what the evidence will show is that. Now, in addition to speaking to some witnesses, Detective Leah Parker said, let me go look at the bank records. Let me see what's going on with Ms. Rooks' account. Because during the course of his investigation, and when he had spoken with the defendant back on February 8, 2017, it appeared from what the defendant was saying that Ms. Rooks didn't have the financial ability to get any care. He said, well, let me pull the bank records. And so he pulled both the Wells Fargo account, which belonged to Ms. Rooks, as well as the Bank of America account. And what we learned from the bank records is that Ms. Rooks was getting 2 pension checks. She was getting one from her retirement as an APS, as an Atlanta public school teacher, but she was also getting a pension check from her husband, who had worked for the Atlanta Housing Authority. And what we will learn from the records is that at some point, the checks that came from her husband, Mr. Rooks, was no longer being deposited in her account, but being deposited in the defendant's account. And that over the course of about 2 years, this defendant had deposited almost $18,000 of Ms. Brooks' money in his account. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what the evidence will show is that from Ms. Brooks' Wells Fargo account, it does look like he paid her bills. We will not dispute that.
Yeah, because he lived there.
And we believe that all the witnesses will say he used to bring her food there. So we won't dispute that. She wasn't starving, except for that weekend before her death. And then he paid her bills. But there was another $18,000 that was not going towards her care. And what you will also learn, ladies and gentlemen, is that not only did she have money coming into her account every month, but she also had a savings that had about $100,000. So she had enough.
Wait a minute, what did she just say? Did she say, but she also had a savings of over $100,000? And see, you know, because of them checks coming in, that's probably why he didn't even put it in a nursing home. Because, you know, once they put him in a nursing home, that money go towards, like, you know, they they care at the nursing home. Ooh, this ain't sounding too good for her son, child. This is not sounding too good. Let's continue.
Money or care to be provided for her. But there was no care given to her. Now let's talk about previous medical care. In addition to some of this other investigations, what you will learn is that Detective Liam Hopper learned about some of her medical history and learned that Ms. Rooks had been going to a doctor, Dr. William Dowler, for at least 30 years. But that the last time that she went to the doctor was in 2014 to her primary care physician. But you will also learn that in both 2013 and 2015, Ms. Brooks had an accident at home and ended up going to Atlanta Medical Center. First in 2013. And when that occurred, you're going to learn from the records is that the hospital and the nurses at the hospital instructed and told Ms. Brooks, your mother cannot be alone. She needs care, 24-hour care. And again, he did not. She last seen at her primary care physician in 2014. And then the last time she was ever seen by a medical professional is 2015. When again, she has an accident at home and goes back to Atlanta Medical Center. So over the course of 2 years, she had never been back to a doctor.
Now y'all know that's unheard of. You know what I'm saying? Like y'all know them senior citizens, they seem like not to say my honey is a senior citizen, but y'all know my old man 65, you know what I'm saying? And he in good shape. But that man go to the doctors for everything on a regular. I didn't know you can go to the doctors that much. I talked to my auntie yesterday. She's 70 something. And it just seemed like that's part of they getting out and about is making all these 1,000 different doctor's appointments. Doctor for this, doctor for that, doctor to check this, doctor to check that. So for an 80-some-year-old woman not to go to the doctor in over 2 years, that's crazy. And I said, if you got a primary care doctor, and this is, older lady, so you talking about she been going to the same doctor for over 30 years, the same doctor, and nobody said, well, damn, where Miss Rooks at? Nobody, this just seemed weird. Like, I wouldn't expect that in today's world, but I would expect that from from back in this time frame and her going to this doctor since the late 80s, 90s. I would expect the type of attention or care or concern, but I think I just be expecting way too much because I thought, I don't know what planet I be living on, but I don't know. For some reason, I thought the state be watching over all these senior citizens and know where they at and who doing what and what, but I guess not. I'm learning that's not how they go. I'm gonna have to get right with my children so they don't just leave me on the floor for 3 days somewhere. Oh my God.
Now, he'll tell you what the defendant told investigator Leon Parker was that her medical insurance lapsed. But never, the evidence will show that he tried to see how he could reinstate her medical insurance or seek Medicare. And ladies and gentlemen, you're going to learn that there was the previous APS report from 2013. Now, you're going to learn that APS is a Adult Protection Service.
Judge, I'm going to object at this point.
This is 2013.
So I'm not familiar with the 2013. The 2014 is not on the table right now because of some ongoing motions litigation we're doing. Just referring to a 2013 ring a bell for you that makes you less concerned, Mr. Korn? I don't know the 2013. Okay, so we're limiting ourselves to talking about the 2013 interaction. Got it.
Ladies and gentlemen, there was a 2013 Adult Protective Services report. Now you're going to learn that the report was anonymous, but that Dante Thompson, who was a caseworker with APS, actually responded to that location. You're going to hear from Dante Thompson, and he's going to tell you about that interaction from that 2013 APS. And the investigation continues, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to learn that during the course of the investigation, Detective Liam Parker got the cell phone of Mr. Rooks. And you're going to learn that Detective Liam Parker did what we call a cell phone. He didn't do it, but another officer did what we call a cell phone extraction. Meaning that when you have your phones are like little computers. And you can hook it up to a system and everything you did in that phone could come out in a report. Your Google searches, your pictures, your videos. And ladies and gentlemen, what you're going to learn or what you're going to find out is that in the cell phone extraction, there were some pictures in there from November of 2016. And those pictures had Ms. Rooks laying on the ground in her. Not only is there a picture of it, he had a video of it. And he recorded in 2016 a video of his mother playing in her feces. Then, ladies and gentlemen, we look at his Google searches. And what you're going to find is that starting in and around early February of 2017, he began making these Google searches. What happens when an elderly person's body starts swelling? Why are there flies around a dying person? My mother died and has no will. What do I do next? What happens to your deceased mother's bank account? Oh, what happens to bank account as your death?
Wow.
This is what he is Googling. Days before, he calls 911 to find his mother on the ground. Now, ladies and gentlemen.
Wait a minute. So you mean to tell me this man lived in the same house with his mama, left her on the floor, and then watched flies and stuff start accumulating around her body? He lived in this house. Wow. 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 Dimitri, there are services for the elderly, which is similar to CPS. Yeah, APS, but cases have to be reported to the agency. Right. Okay. So that must be what the difference is because I know I heard times when people come out and check on them, but I guess either them people didn't set that up for themselves or they didn't been reported. So I guess that's what the difference is, And that's kind of like one of those situations where, I guess because I don't know, we're going to find out. But, they said one of the neighbors and some different family members was offering him help and he refused it. But I guess that's one of the moments that you just don't imagine the worst about people that that you take them at their word. And then I guess people make excuses where you don't come in the house and then get the dog, but people don't want to come in. And that's what allowed it to go unnoticed where the family and friends or neighbors didn't call APS or Adult Protective Services or something like that. He was able to hide it, I guess, And people don't really expect to see like an 80-some-year-old woman, depending on her health, coming in and out the house, Yeah, watching. That's what she just said. She said that they was able to find video file and pictures that he had in the phone where he actually recorded his mama in that bad shape and planting her feces. So the only thing I can imagine, why would he take video like that except to like humiliate her or make fun of her or to talk bad about her instead of helping her? This not sounding too good. It's been over a year since I even heard this much because I've been meaning to bring this to you guys because I think I heard like the first responder and then the medical examiner. And as soon as the medical examiner, I remember hearing that much. And as soon as the medical examiner went on there, I was like, oh my God, I got to show this to Lit Lane. And then I just never got around to it. Yeah, I've been meaning to bring y'all this case. And I don't even know what the verdict is. If anybody else knows, don't tell me. Don't tell nobody. Keep it to yourself.
You're going to hear from Dr. Michael Penner. And he is the medical examiner in this case. So what you're going to learn is after Ms. Rooks dies, she's taken over to the medical examiner's office and they examine her body and he'll talk to you about their process. But he's going to talk to you about what the medical examiners label as manners of death. And there are 5 manners of death. He's going to talk to you about those different manners of death. But specifically, this death was called undetermined. It's undetermined because there are a variety of different factors that can go in what you believe. And he's going to talk to you about why it was determined this is an undetermined manner of death. But what he will say is that he determined the cause of death to be combined complications of neglect and natural disease. And then he goes through what those things are: a pulmonary embolism, hypertension, coronary, I'm still getting this right, atherosclerosis, and probable sepsis from acute ulcers. And what he's going to also tell you is that her life could have been prolonged if given reasonable care. And then you're going to hear from Dr. Diana Comey, who is an elder abuse expert, and she's going to talk about the power and control that caretakers kind of use with elders. And then she's going to also talk about how the totality of everything that we talked about, could be consistent with neglect and abuse. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I have some warnings for you. The pictures will be disturbed. I'm preparing you for that. They will be disturbed. The video will be disturbed. The medical testimony will be challenged. And the bank records will be teased. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not, I know some of you like true crime stories, this is not, a DNA case. This is not a case that you're gonna have that kind of all that other scientific evidence outside of the medical examination report. That's not what this case is. I'll tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that I have an ideal way that I want to put this case before you, but some people are traveling, so I have to maybe call witnesses out of order, but I'm going to try to put this case together in a way that we just talked about. That's my idea, but it may not happen. So I just ask that you all be patient with us, write notes. You may have questions, but it might come from another witness who's going to come in another full time. And as Judge McBurney has said repeatedly, I'm going to ask you to pay attention. I'm going to ask you to watch how people testify, what they say, their demeanor. Again, it's not television. You've already been here for 2 days, so the show had already been over. Okay.
Not the show would have been already over.
You have your notepads, but again, as Judge McBurney said, do not use it to the detriment of paying attention to what's going on. Again, pay attention to body language. And when the state rests, and I come back before you for the closing argument, I'm going to come back and I'm going to ask that you find this defendant guilty of every single count in this case. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hill.
All right, y'all. So that was the state ending its opening statement. Now, unfortunately, or I don't know if it's unfortunately or fortunately, I'm going to say unfortunately because I kind of like to see the attorney a little bit doing the opening statements. But like she said, this is not TV. Okay. But what we think about the state and her opening, how she delivered that and how she presented, what we're going to be seeing in the case. I think she did a good job. I feel like she laid out what we're going to see, the different parts of the case. She kept my attention. I liked her delivery. I could understand everything she was saying. So far the state opening, I think she did a good job. We like to talk about the lawyers and everything. See how they do it. We will be seeing her as the trial commences. But anywho, let's get to the defense opening statements.
Mr. Korn, will you be giving an opening at this time?
I will, Your Honor.
Now's the time.
Thank you, sir. May it please the court?
Okay, y'all, let me push pause. There go. Take that mask off your face. But this was 2022. So that's why they all wearing the mask like that. But here go the y'all see Mr. Baldhead Hilliard's Rooks. That is the defendant. Okay, he is the one on trial. So far, y'all pretty much like her opening statement. It went to say it was straight to the point without a whole lot of fluff. Went to say she did a good job. Let's see what the defense do. And there go Hilliard's Rooks over there with that suit and that mask on sitting right there. He's not one of the attorneys. That is the defendant that's on trial.
Good morning. I want to introduce myself. My name is Larry Korn. I have the honor of representing Hilliard's Rooks along with my co-counsel, Rachel Jenks. I want to take a moment to thank you for being here today and as this case progresses. I know it's difficult, I know it's a burden, and I know this is going to be a difficult case for you to hear all this. But I want to remind you at the outset of what I say and what Ms. Hilton says is not evidence. Many of you were nodding your head along with what Ms. Hilton was saying. I get that. But none of it was evidence. You haven't heard any evidence. In fact, much of the evidence that you hear in this witness stand And over the video and audio, what was just told. It's the story of a man and his mother. A man who was dealing with something that unfortunately all of us, and most of us will have to deal with at some point or another. Failing health and decline of an elderly parent. If you've dealt with this, you know how difficult it is. Well, this was dealing with it as best he could. Kept his mother fed, made sure her bills were paid, made sure her shelter was there. The evidence will show that Rooks was painfully overwhelmed by this task. It was too much. The question that you must all be asking yourself at this point is, if you were so overwhelmed, why did you call for help? People did offer to help. Why didn't you take her to a nursing home? Why didn't you take her to a hospital? Surely those are questions that are going to be asked and posed. And the answer is this: you have not heard yet. She did not want to go. She did not want to go to a nursing home. She did not want to go to a hospital. She did not.
Child, pause. So that's gonna be his defense, that his mama didn't want to go. That's the defense. Let me not interrupt this man, but oh my God, he gonna have to do better than that, because they say we come as children, leave out almost as children, and the children don't get their wants. And the same thing with dementia patients that's elderly, where you gotta take care of them. You can't go by what they want and whether they say yes or no. Oh my God.
I wanted to go to a doctor. Her doctor, the one she'd done going all her life, was gone. He was dead. She did not want to go to another doctor. She made her intentions very, very clear to her son. Every time he asked her, "Do you want me to take you there? Do you want me to go to a nursing home?" She would say no. She wanted to stay in her own home. And what Mr. Rooks, what he understood from that was, she wanted to die. That's not uncommon. Many elderly people want exactly that. That's not unusual. Her husband, Jimmy, had cancer. But he was recovering from that cancer. He had had successful cancer surgery. One day, about a year or two, but in the rehabilitation following that cancer surgery, was on the spine, so we had to go and rehab in a nursing home. One day, about a year later, he just got a call from the nursing home saying his father was unresponsive. He just wasn't breathing. He rushed to Grady. He recovered. He seemed fine. And 2 days later, he's dead. He's gone. This is the experience with nursing homes and the hospital that NATO, the Rooks, and Hilliard Strokes had. That was their experience. That was what they knew about hospitals. That you do something bad. So you see, it's hardly any surprise that NATO, the Rooks, wanted no part of the nursing home, wanted no part of the grid. They had every reason to mistrust the care that they would receive there. They had every reason to mistrust the care they would receive in any such facility. Some are better than others, but those require money that Julius Rooks simply did not have. Julius worked all his life. He was a maintenance man at Georgia Tech. He didn't make a ton of money, made some. He made enough for an apartment that he shared with somebody else. But he was not a wealthy man. He did not have the money pay for the kind of care that his mother required. And she was uninsured. Now, Detective Liam Packard had the ability and the knowledge to go through all of her accounts and find the money that Mendoza Rooks had. Police didn't have that ability. He couldn't go through her accounts. He didn't know what savings she had. This is knowledge that Detective Leon Packer got much later. I'm standing here, 59-year-old man. I have no idea what assets my mother has. She didn't even tell me. She was in Arizona. She's doing okay. She's doing all right. But I can tell you that I don't know what she's got. Even if I ask her, I don't know what she's got. So the evidence will show that when Hilliard Rooks asked his mom every single time to go to a nursing home.
Somebody writing hard as hell up in there.
She told him in no uncertain terms, absolutely not. This is my home. She had been there for over 50 years. This is where she raised her family. She did not want to go anywhere else. She did not want to die among strangers. She lived in that home on North Avenue for her entire adult life.
Hey, Jackson, thank you for
The
coming
evidence
through.
showed that the will of Makeover the Rooks was strong. By will, I mean her force of nature. She is not the kind of person who would be swayed by anybody's. And even if the family had all stepped up, which they didn't, they only had this. She would not be swayed by any of their pleadings to go to nursing home, to go to the hospital. She had one that she wanted to go for. You will see many pictures you will no doubt find disturbing. Pictures that will depict the conditions of the home at North Avenue at the very end. These pictures will demonstrate that Hilliard Rooks at the very end was overwhelmed by the massive job that was caring for his mom in 5 days. The state is going to make a big deal of the fact that Hilliard Rooks received his father's pension checks. But what they won't tell you, what they don't know, is that Hilliard Rooks received these checks because his mother wanted him to have them. She told him, I don't need this, I have my own pension. You didn't touch that. He got the pension check from his father's pension that his mother wanted him to have. It's not a crime.
Oh, I can't control myself. This man making me so mad. Now, how you gonna say out of one side of your mouth that the man is just a handyman? He ain't got that much money. His mama don't have enough money for the care she need, but yet he getting a whole check, pension check that should have been going to his mama. And he got a job, but yet he want to claim he didn't have the money necessary to get her the care she need. Oh my God. Do this man hear himself talking? Oh no.
Yes, he was given this money. And you'll see, he didn't do anything with it. Excuse me. He did not lead a lavish lifestyle. He worked hard. He worked his full-time job at Georgia Tech. He did some side jobs, maintenance. He operated a recording studio, which generated him some small income. And he took care of his mom. That was his life for the last couple of years of her life. That's all he did. He couldn't afford to not work. He didn't have the money to hire someone to come into the home during the 8 hours he was in Georgia Tech. He did the best he could, and that's all. Hilliard Rooks led a Spartan minimalist lifestyle. He was not driving around in big fancy cars on his back. He was not driving. He did not live in a big fancy house. Not have expensive clothes. He did not have expensive jewelry. He just got by on his job, taking care of his mom.
Hey Lou, thank you for coming through to the
One
Nigeria box.
the evidence will show that Hillary Rooks cared for his mother for 2 weeks. One, he did know it. He did care for her. There are evidence that they had some argumentative relationship, as every parent and child does. Show me a parent and child that never argue, you won't know each other. But the simple fact is, no one else in this family stepped up. If they wanted to help, they could have. They could have. They came to the door, knocked, they didn't like the dog, so they ran away. Nobody else came up. So they're gonna come up and testify. They're all gonna get up and testify that this was all on Hillary's. And that they were scared of the dog. The dog was a year and a half old. They were not scared of the dog. But the fact is, that's their way of saying they didn't want nothing. If they wanted to be there to help, they could. The evidence will show that they did. Is this neglect? I don't believe so. I don't believe the evidence will show that it is. Is this murder? I am certain the evidence will show.
Thank you, Mr. Korn. Ms. Hilton, you ready with your?
Now, the only thing made sense to me that Mr. Korn, the defense attorney, said, the only thing that I can say, okay, he have a point there, is that if the family members were so concerned, they could have did a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? And that's true. That is true. If you really concerned, if I'm really concerned about my sister over there, but the sister had to be elderly too, not a senior citizen. It's a difference between senior citizen and elderly. You know what I'm saying? I'm 15 years away from being a senior citizen. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully, I'm 30 years away from being elderly. You know, but yeah, they could have done a little bit more. You know, he had a son, she had a grandson, he had another sibling. If they was concerned and thinking she wasn't getting the care, they could have did a little bit more pushing or called APS or did something to make sure she got it, you know. And they didn't have to leave the responsibility on just one person. You know, that is true. Lady Aries say, thank you, Jackson Street, for 2,300 for being a member for 4 months. You've been a member way longer than that. Thank you for being a member and all the pit crew. All the pit crew. If you see them in green, that's what that means. Now, if you just came in, we just now finished the opening statements for both sides. This is the state of Georgia versus Hilliard's Rooks. He being accused of unaliving his mother, who was 83 years old, by way of neglect. But we shall see. Wait a minute. Lady Aries say, blah, blah, blah. None of this negates the fact that he neglected his mother. If he could not care for her, allow somebody else to do it. Right. But I think he was worried about having to split some money or spend some money. Or he let her get in such disrepair that it started being scary to him. You know what I'm saying? And that he started being like, oh my God, if I take her to the doctor or tell somebody I need help and they come and see how bad I let her get, I'm gonna get in trouble. Now I can even see that happening. Him getting scared and shit, and that's why he didn't want to tell nobody. But look where it got him now. Went to say it would have been real simple for him to get home health care for her and continue to steal her money just to keep her healthy. Right, exactly. And had he been doing her insurance stuff like that, right? The Medicare, Medicaid, all that kind of stuff, he could have made sure it would have been a reduced or whatever. It would have been manageable. Damn, he could have split half of the pension that he was getting deposit to go towards her care. He might not have no fancy car and all that kind of stuff, but I bet you he had a side woman or somebody that he was giving money to. Lady Aries say true. But when my mother was very sick and I knew she couldn't care for herself, I made phone calls, solicited help, and took care of her. I had my own separate house, husband, and children, and full-time job. Right. And trust and believe, I be sitting here thinking about like, okay, when my mom, you know, as I'm getting older, my mama getting older. and thank God she's doing for herself and everything. But I thinks about that. I thinks ahead to, what'll happen if she no longer could care for herself, and my situation, I pretty much feel like shit. It's gonna have to be me that go home to take care of her. You know what I'm saying? My sister got her career and everything. It'd be easier for me to whatever I'm doing at this point, if it's looking like this, for me to go take care of her. And I do understand too. Let me say this to be fair. I'm thinking as a 48-year-old woman and everything like that, but it is a lot of people who don't want to be in no hospitals. It is a lot of people who scared of being put in a nursing home, because the thing that they always say is you put them in a nursing home, then you die real fast when you was doing fine at home. So it's not outside of my understanding that an elderly person might say those type of things. Oh, I don't want to go to the hospital. They'll kill you up. They'll kill me up in there. Oh, I don't want to go to the nursing home. All I'm doing is just die real fast. I didn't see older people say that type of stuff. That's believable. But at one point in time, at some point in time, you have to be responsible, if you're the caregiver, for making those type of decisions, especially if she's not even in her right conscious, right mind, and she got dementia. Is that how you say it? Dementia. Yeah, dementia. Okay, so the opening statements is over. And then we're going to hear these first two witnesses, I think. And then we're going to be concluded for today. And I think tomorrow we get into the family members and all them. Okay. I do not know the verdict that came down in this case. I'm pretty much watching it to find out with you guys. Thank y'all again for joining me here in the Little Lane Jury Box.
First witness. Yes. Let's call that witness.
Your Honor, state called Officer Peckful to the state.
Everybody else was talking clear into the microphone, but the defense attorney. I'm still trying to remember what case we watched from this trial, from this courthouse. I remember y'all was talking about the lady Bob or something.
Officer Brandon Pechtel, Brandon. Last name Pechtel, Pectol.
And Officer Peckful, where are you employed?
City of Atlanta Police Department.
Officer, I'm sorry to interrupt. This is not my examination right now. It's Ms. Hilton's. As long as you're comfortable with it, it helps us if you keep your mask down while you testify. That way we can hear you, get friendly with the microphone. But as long as you're comfortable health-wise, please keep mask on.
All right.
Thanks so much.
Did you say how are you currently employed?
City of Atlanta Police Department.
And how long have you been with the City of Atlanta Police Department?
6 years.
6 years. And what do you currently do for the Atlanta Police Department?
I'm currently assigned to our Apex unit. So we focus on violent offenders, weapon offense, street level drugs, warrants. We serve the majority of the warrants in the city, mostly related to narcotics related.
And how long have you been at the Apex unit?
2.5 years.
Prior to your role at the Apex unit, where were you assigned?
I was assigned to Zone 1 Crime Suppression Unit, and before that, Zone 1 Evening Watch.
And if you could tell the jury, when we're talking about Zone 1, what do you mean?
So Zone 1 is Northwest Atlanta. So you're going to have Bankhead, which is Donnelly Hollowell. At the time, we had from Northside Drive west all the way down to roughly about the AUC Center. So we had incorporated the Bluff, Vine City, Simpson, and all the way out to Fulton Industrial.
And with the Atlanta Police Department, is the city separated into various zones across the city?
It is.
And as also you were assigned to that specific, at this time, specific section of Zone 1.
Correct.
Taking you back to February 2017, were you in the Zone 1 crime suppression or what you were?
I was actually just entering field training at the time. I was about a month in, and I was currently at Zone 1 Day Watch.
And What were your job duties and responsibilities back in 2017 when you were in Zone 1 Day Watch?
It was handling 911 calls, so anything from a noise complaint all the way up to serious offenses, anything that came through the 911 dispatch.
I want to direct your attention to February 8th, 2017. Did you have the occasion to respond to 1251 North Avenue in West Virginia?
I did.
And is that location in Fulton County?
It is.
And do you recall, and I know it's been about 4 years, if you recall, what time you responded to that application?
I couldn't give you the exact time, but working day watch at the time, I would say about mid-morning.
And what were the times and hours of Day Watch?
Day watch operated 6 to 2 and 7 to 3. 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., 7 a.m. to 3 p.m.
And so when you were responding, you responded within those hours?
Correct.
And if you recall, do you recall what day of the week was February 8th, 2007?
That was a Wednesday.
And what was the weather like that day?
It was overcast.
And it's February 8th, 2017, that's still the winter.
Correct.
And why did you respond to that location?
On that particular day, me and my field training officer had gotten a call for a person down or injured call. Remarks saying that an elderly female was not alert, not conscious, not breathing, possibly deceased at the scene.
And did you know at the time who made the 911 call?
I did not know at the time who made the 911 call. We just got the 911 call through dispatch and we responded to the scene.
And did you respond?
Yes, correct. We arrived a short time after receiving the 911 call, parked on the street and began to approach the location.
Good to see you.
At which time, as we were getting closer to the location, I could see flies on the window and everything like that. And at which point I'd personally thought that we were going to be dealing with a deceased person at the location.
And you said we responded. Who's the we?
Me and my field training officer, Officer Brandon Jackson.
And you said that you saw flies. What about seeing the flies made you think you were dealing with a deceased person?
So, through my knowledge, training, and experience, flies are one of the indicators to dealing with deceased people due to a decay process. You'll start having different insects start gathering around anything that had deceased once it starts to decay.
And you said that you saw the flies. Did you see or observe anything else?
As I walked up to the location, I'd seen that the door was closed to the location. I'd also heard a dog barking at the location. We approached the door, and that's when we met with another individual, which ended up being the decedent's son, Mr. Rooks, at the location, who stated that he had to put the dog up before he was able to open the door for us.
And you said you saw a fly. Did you smell anything?
Yeah, you could definitely there was definitely an odor. A deceased body is a very distinguished odor. It's hard to explain, but once you smell it once, it never leaves your brain. And it's different than a deceased animal because, of course, the body has different bacteria that we hold as a human being. It's very, very distinct.
Okay. And you smelled that when you were?
Yes, you started having those smells.
Now, once you said you saw the decedent's son, do you see him in the courtroom today?
Yes, I do.
If you can identify him by article clothing that he is wearing.
Mr. Rooks is sitting in between, presumably his defense team, has a black mask, and I can't really see over the podium, but looks to be a black suit jacket.
Your Honor, let the record reflect that he's identified Mr. Rooks.
Officer Pechtel has identified Mr. Rooks.
Now, once you said that he had to put up the dog, if you can describe for the jurors the house and what it looked like.
So the house itself, from the outside, has a very old-timey feel. night, larger property in the area. Driveway had a lower level where another car was parked. There was a boat in the driveway. If you're facing it from the street, the door is off center towards the driveway area. But what we would consider the one side of the property, which is usually facing the street.
Now, once you approach the door, are there two doors, one door?
So when we approached the house, there was a burglar bar door that we encountered. At which point we encountered the decedent's son, Mr. Rooks. There is another door, but that had been open, but the burglar bar door was closed.
And when you say closed, was it locked or?
Yes, it was locked at the time.
And you said that Mr. Rooks said he had to put away the dog. Did you actually ever observe the dog at that time?
At that time, we did not observe the dog. We observed the dog later.
And once, did Mr. Rooks put away the dog?
Yes, he did.
And what happened once he put away the dog?
Once he put away the dog, he had come back to the front door, unlocked the door and opened the door, and at which time we started having a conversation about what was going on at the location.
And what do you recall what he told you?
He had explained that he had found that his mother had passed away, at which time he had called 911 to have officers respond to the scene.
Is that all he told you?
At that time, we started had further conversations afterwards, but at that time, that was the initial conversation that was had.
So after he told you, had that initial conversation, what happened next?
That's when we observed Mr. Rooks's mother in the house. He was able to allow us into the front living room where his mother was deceased at, and we observed his past mother and saw her laying on the floor with a blanket over her. Of course, we were dealing with the flies and everything at the time. I'd also observed that there was animal fecal matter on the floor as well.
Oh, Lord. So he just let his mama lay there on the floor, rot and die, and let the dog just piss and shit on him. Wow. Deplorable. Wow. Check on
it was.
Check on your loved ones.
It wasn't as cleanly.
Trish and CEO Little Boss Lady, for those who just coming in, we're watching the trial. They've just finished hearing the opening statements. It's the state of Georgia versus Hilliard's Rooks. They are alleging that they are having on trial for the unaliving of his 83-year-old elderly mother with dementia. And so just missed the opening statements. This is the first responding officer to the scene. What we heard in the defense was, we just heard the defense attorney say that she hadn't went to the doctor in over 2 years and didn't have no insurance and all that stuff because that's the way she wanted it. Okay. That was pretty much the defense. She didn't want to go to the doctor. She didn't want to go into a nursing home. But I'm trying to keep an open mind. Innocent till proven guilty.
Looking as your first approach to the house.
And what did you do at that time once you observed the defendant's mother's body?
At which point, me and Mr. Rooks began talking about his mother. At which time, given my condolences, that's never easy when you lose a family member. So trying to be as supportive through the process as possible while we were waiting for any medical staff to arrive on scene, trying to ease the pain as best as I could, and not knowing an individual. Sorry for your loss. Anything that we can do to help you. Mr. Rooks was visually upset at the time, understandably, for his mother passing away.
And once you all have that conversation, is that inside the house or outside the house?
So that first initial conversation was conducted inside the location. And then, of course, that conversation, just consoling him, continued outside as well.
Now, going back inside the house, you described how you saw the position of his mom. Did you notice anything else about any of the other furniture or anything inside of the home?
Yes. Where she was positioned in the house, of course, when you walked through the front door, you were able to see his mother right in front of you on the floor with the blanket over her. And directly behind her was the couch that was in the living room. The couch had been flipped up on its face and the cushions had been removed from the couch.
Now, once you observe all this, did you ever go over to the body and take off the blanket or anything?
I did not do that. That's not in our protocol, especially with a deceased person. We'd let medical staff handle that.
And if you can recall, if you can describe, how did Mr. Rooks appear?
Mr. Rooks appeared clean. Like I said, he was visibly upset when we first met with him, and understandably, the passing of his mother, Mr. Rooks appeared like he was getting ready for work at the time. And that was later informed to me that he had been getting ready for work earlier that morning. And that's when, after he was done getting ready for work, that he had found his mother passed away.
He said it was later informed to you.
Well, like I said before, we had our initial conversation, the condolences and everything inside of the location. But I also stated that we continued our conversation outside in the driveway, front yard as well. Just kind of setting the picture, trying to get as much information. Sometimes I know people that have dealt with deceased relatives like to get things off their chest, try to work through their feelings. Just allowing him to talk, be an open ear, let him go through his grieving process.
So what did he tell you that part of the conversation?
He was kind of setting the stage for the fact, okay, this is the timetable of how everything was happening. He would get up early in the morning for work. He would get ready, and he said when he exited the bedroom to get ready for work, he just kind of made a quick glance towards the living room and felt like his mother was still asleep, got ready for work. And then once he was ready to leave, that's when he realized that, hey, I think my mother's not breathing. And at which point identified that his mother might have been passed away.
And during the course of that conversation, did he tell you about the days leading up to that Wednesday that you arrived at the scene?
Yes. He'd stated to me that one thing that his mother was dealing with was dementia, that it was not always easy to handle that process. You had increasingly, I would say, mental facilities were decreasing at the time. He'd stated that prior to that, and because I'd asked why the couch was flipped up, that his mother had gotten stuck in the couch because she was quite sedentary. She didn't move around too much, and due to the fact that she was sedentary, she had maneuvered in a point where she'd gotten stuck in the couch, and he had to remove her from the couch. And at which time he felt that it was a better place to keep her away from the couch so she didn't get stuck in the couch anymore.
And did he tell you when he had removed her from the couch?
I believe he stated that previous Friday.
The previous Friday before the wedding?
Yes.
And did he tell you how he had removed her from the couch?
He'd stated that she had gotten stuck in the couch, and that while he was picking her up, that he observed a bed sore that had opened up because of the placement that she was in the couch.
Wow.
She had gotten, from my understanding, quite deep into the crack and crevice in the couch, and he had to remove her from that location.
And did you all talk about anything else?
Through the conversation that we were having,
do y'all hear this? How long do a person have to be sitting in one position on a couch to get stuck in the couch? And how long they got to be in that same position in the couch stuck, where they literally get a ulcer that opens, a bed sore ulcer that opens up? That ain't no 1 day, 2 day type of situation. And how do your mama get stuck in the goddamn couch? Ooh, ooh. Y'all, I said I was going to be open-minded and not start hollering the person guilty. But send his ass under the prison. That's crazy. Oh my God. He couldn't even put her in the bed or put in a, oh my God. This is horrible. This is crazy. And to be sitting his ass there talking about not guilty. Okay. This her son we talking about now.
Then asked me at one point, he'd actually told me that his mother had worked for Atlanta Public Schools for over 30 years. She was a teacher, and had asked me if...
and Lady Aries said it too. While he talking about he get up for work every day in his room, and he walk past it and see her, if she still asleep, like Lady Aries said, when the hell is she taking her medicine? What schedule did he have her on to feed her? And then I think he say, if you was listening, I know y'all listening, but he also said that when the man was telling him about like setting the stage for his routine, that he'll walk by the living room. Why is she living in the living room, not her bedroom, right? This her lifelong house, the house he was raised in, and his ass was 50 something. So you mean to tell me you just walk by the living room and peep in at her? And then he also said, they said something about the man say he rolled her orange on the floor. Child, hey Candy Cane. Good to see you, girl. This is the first witness on the stand, first responding officer in a trial of, what's his name? Something Rooks. I forgot what his name was, child. How is his name funny? His first name funny. Hilliard Rooks. Accused of unaliving sound like by neglect of his 83-year-old mother. And so far, this shit is horrendous. Check on your loved ones. If you can't handle it, let somebody else take care of it.
If I would think that she would have a life insurance policy.
And did he ask you about the life insurance policy one time?
No, he'd asked about it multiple times.
Okay. About how many times did he ask you about whether or not she had a life insurance policy?
I remember directly 2 times that he asked me about a life insurance policy. First time, hey, I could understand you're trying to figure out your process, how you're going to deal with the funeral costs and everything like that. And that second time, I had to take a step back and wonder why in a short time period you were asking me about a life insurance policy twice. I would have no idea. I don't know your mother.
And to your knowledge, did he ask anyone else on the scene about the life insurance policy?
I'd overheard a conversation that he was having on the phone with presumably a relative, because he was saying that, hey, mom has passed away, trying to inform family, but I'd once again overheard a conversation and him asking the person on the other line if they believed that his mother had a life insurance policy.
And this is all on the day you arrived on February 8, 2017.
That is correct.
Now, during the time that you were speaking with him, were you ever to confirm whether or not he was living at that location?
I was able to confirm.
Okay. And was he living at that location?
Yes, but according to his driver's license, that was the exact address that was on his driver's license.
And during the course of your conversation with him, did he tell you how long he had been now staying at that house?
He stated that he would spend time at that house and a different location. He never fully gave the other location, like an actual address. but he did say that he was splitting time at the time.
Yeah, at his woman's house. That's where he was spending the money.
Speaking with him, or even while speaking with him, did anyone else arrive at the home?
Shortly after, we had, I believe it was fire to arrive first on scene. And that's when they had made the announcement that she was in fact deceased. That's when, by protocol, we've called the medical examiner out to the location. A short time later, the medical examiner arrived on scene and started doing their duties, observing the body, making their assessment on scene.
And did you speak with the medical examiner? Did you tell them what information you had at that point in time?
Yes, I'd given them a brief rundown on the information that I'd collected. Age of the decedent, what Mr. Rooks had said, that she was dealing with dementia, that she had been stuck in the couch. That's why that she was on the floor. That because Mr. Rooks had removed her from the couch, and just gave a preliminary setup. So when he did enter the location, he would know what he's walking into.
And you said you had gotten Miss Brooks' age. Do you recall how old she was?
I couldn't recall. I know that she was in her mid-80s.
And outside of the medical examiner's office, did anyone else come out to the scene?
Later on, after the medical examiner had done his preliminary assessment on scene, he'd got with me and Officer Jackson and advised us that it would probably be a good idea if we raised homicide to come out to the scene.
And did you raise homicide?
We did raise homicide to come out to the scene.
And did someone from homicide come out?
Yes, multiple individuals from homicide.
Oh, they started investigating his ass immediately.
First person to arrive on scene was, at the time, Lieutenant Hampton, who is now Deputy Chief Hampton. He was the commander over homicide at the time. He was the first one to arrive on scene. And then the lead detective arrived on scene a few minutes later. That was Detective Liam Packer.
And did you tell Detective Liam Packer and Lieutenant Hampton what you basically told the jury of what Mr. Rooks had told you?
Yes, I had given him all the information that I had gathered before he then spoke with the medical examiner.
Your permission to approach?
Yes, both sides have continuing authority to approach witnesses unless I tell you otherwise.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer Peckle, I'm going to show you what's the Marcus Stacy Exhibit 1 through.
Okay, this is the first time we get to see the state attorney.
If you could take a moment, tell me if you recognize Stacy Exhibit 1 through 11.
Prosecutor, I should have said.
I do recognize all state exhibits 1 through 11.
Yeah, for the record, I did show defense counsel Stacy Exhibit 1 through 11. How do you recognize Stacy Exhibit 1 through 11?
Those were all pictures that were taken on scene. Those were the overall shots of the location, starting with the address that was posted, 1251, and then overview shots of the location, including the front side of the house, the yard. Mr. Rooks is in a couple of the exhibits, and the driveway, the front door, the burglar bar door that I had explained to you guys earlier, and then the interior door that I'd stated that was open, as well as the decedent.
And is that a fair and accurate depiction of 1251 North Avenue, as well as everything that we discussed as you remember it on February 8, 2017?
It is.
I mean, around this time, it's like 10 to 6, 1 through 11 is that.
Okay, so when they
No
start
objection.
passing these pictures,
Admitted.
I'm gonna have to make my avatar
Granted.
bigger so I can make
First
sure
one,
it's not
Stacy
something
Exhibit number
that can't be seen on here because this court show everything.
And for everyone's purpose, the screen on the witness stand is a touch screen. So if you need a witness to point something out, we can activate the touch screen. The witness actually has to activate it, but it is markable. So we don't need to get witnesses to stand up and move away from the microphone.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
Sure.
Okay, these pictures okay.
And is this just a picture of the address of the home?
Oh, Lord. Okay.
That is just a picture of the address of the home.
Okay, now looking at Stacy Exhibit number 2. And is this the house as you just described it earlier at 1251 North Avenue, Atlanta, Georgia?
It is.
Damn, he wasn't taking care of them. It looked like almost had to take
Now
care
we're
of
going to get to Stacy Exhibit number 9. Is this how you saw?
Hello and welcome to the Lit Lane Jury Box, Precious. I can give you a summary right now. We on the first witness, state witness. This is a trial of I can't keep forgetting Hillius Rooks. Hillius Rooks. The state is alleging that he is the person responsible for the unaliving of his mother, 83-year-old Madota Rooks. They saying that it was by negligent. Well, I keep saying that that death by negligence, but they saying he just straight up unalived his mother. This was the state of Georgia versus him, and this is the first witness the state has called, and it's the first responding officer that showed up. Now on the screen right now is the defendant Hillius Rooks outside the house when he called 911. And so that's what we're listening to now. In opening statements, the state alleged that that the mama was laying there on the floor for days and assumably had been deceased for days. They also alleged that when they went to investigating inside into the financials, that he was getting his daddy pension directly deposited over $18,000 into his checking account. And then they also said something about anger and dislike and hatred for his mother. So I'm real interested to see how they present that. So that's what it is. It's the state of Georgia versus Rooks for the unaliving of his 83-year-old mother.
The defendant on when you arrived.
It is.
And I know earlier you testified that it appeared that he was on the phone call and family, just kind of what it looked like.
Absolutely. Yes.
I'm going to Stacy Exhibit number 6. Again, you mentioned earlier that burglar door, and there was another door. Is this what you were referencing? I said Exhibit number 6.
Yes, ma'am.
Now looking at Stacy Exhibit number 8. Is this that second door that you were referencing?
Yes, it is.
Now, is it that this door was open, but the burglar door was locked when you first approached the scene?
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm sorry, going back to Stacy Exhibit number 6. Where were you when you first started seeing kind of flies kind of buzzing around?
As you were coming up from the property, if you look to the right of the screen over here, that would be North Avenue. You can see the old plant across the street. That's that rusted tower.
You can touch it, I think this is.
So if you tap the lower left-hand corner of the screen,
Okay.
the little pencil,
Okay.
now you're active. You should be able to draw with your finger.
Okay. So this is across the street at the old plant, and along this line right here would be North Avenue. We'd parked. You can almost see the butt end of the patrol car right there. We'd parked at the front side of the house near the driveway. Once we were approaching through the driveway, because we'd assessed that the door was at the placement that it was, you could first see some flies gathering on that front exterior window. When we had the overview, it had that big panel window. You could first see them.
Can we go back? State exhibit number 2. Please.
And officer, you'll need to
Erase.
Yeah, there should be it's like an undo. It's a circle with an arrow on it. That should undo the things you did.
Circle with an arrow on it.
Is there not?
I'm sorry,
that
I find
one.
the goofy
Yep.
stuff funny.
Again?
My bad.
Oh, look at that. It's not working.
I don't think I can, because it's on his computer.
So try hit the eraser
Hey, Miss
then.
Me,
see
thank
if
you for
that does
coming
it.
through.
Eraser.
You now entered the Lit Lane jury box.
No, that's not doing it. You
He's
broke it.
Sorry, Your Honor.
We'll figure it out.
You got
Yeah,
a son.
everyone ignore the red circle with the line on
Young
it.
man's son on trial for the unaliveness of his
Yeah.
elderly mother.
But this is the panel window that I was referring to. That's where we first started seeing the flies gather. And then, of course, once we got to the burglar bar door, that's when you saw more flies.
And then we're gonna go to state exhibit number 11.
Warning, some of these pictures may be graphic. I'm gonna try to, oh, wait a minute, let me, hold on.
And as we mentioned earlier, is this what you saw when you walked inside the home and saw Ms. Brooks on the ground?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
At this point in time, you did not touch the body at that.
No.
Okay, and that's protocol.
Let's stop sharing.
okay, none of these gonna have a body on them.
He said the protocol, why is it that you don't touch the body?
So in a situation like that, that was a person down call. Based on the description of it, we perceived no threat. At the time going to the location, there was no mention of any firearms or anything like that. That would call for us to have to make an adjustment to the body to secure something that potentially would be dangerous. In this case, it was an elderly female, not alert, not conscious, not breathing, possibly deceased at the location. When we hear that elderly individual, we start thinking that passed away of natural causes, something like that. When we got to the scene and met with Mr. Rooks, there didn't seem to be any threat from Mr. Rooks at the time, so we weren't going to touch the body.
And I believe you did this earlier, but if you did, is this address 1251 North Avenue in Hilton?
It is.
And after kind of responding to the scene, I'm getting the information from the defendant, speaking with the medical examiner's office as well as Detective Lee and Packer, did that include your involvement in this case?
We remained on scene while they were doing their preliminary investigation. We didn't clear until we were advised by homicide that we could clear. We did have to wait towards the end of the encounter until animal control got there to secure the dog at the location.
And did animal services come to secure the dog?
They did.
You may have already answered this, but there's no dog in any of these pictures. You've opened the front door. Where is the dog in connection to pictures we've seen?
So Mr. Rooks had, on initial approach, stated that he had to put the dog away. If you went into the house and to the left, there was a closed door, that he had placed the dog in the room and closed the door. So it didn't have any involvement with officers on scene, medical staff on scene.
And did you eventually see the dog?
I did.
If you can describe for the jury, how big was the dog, how the height, or what kind of dog was it?
It was a Rottweiler. It was a adolescent Rottweiler. When I mean adolescent, it's not going to be a puppy. It's technically in its teenage years. So we're talking about in that 1 to 2 year old range from what it appeared. It was in good shape. It was a happy, healthy dog. Once the medical examiner brought the dog out, it was happy to be out. It just wanted to say hi to everybody. It was still a puppy, and at heart.
When you say a puppy, like a little big puppy?
No, a Rottweiler is considered a large breed dog. Rottweilers are going to range from anywhere 80 to 120 pounds, possibly bigger, depending on if you have a working line, show line, European breed, anything like that. That could all influence the weight.
I have no further questions.
Mr. Korn, questions for Officer Pecta?
Certainly, just a few actually. You testified earlier that Mr. Rooks was upset.
Yes.
What about his demeanor? What did you observe about him that would lead you to conclude that?
Like I said, on first approach, that Mr. Rooks was teary-eyed. Like I said, that was understandable given the circumstances. Mr. Rooks at first gave that appearance that he just lost his mother and was working through those feelings.
You indicated the dog seemed happy.
Yes.
Healthy.
Yes.
Was the dog aggressive?
No, it was not aggressive.
So he took care of the dog. He took care of the dog, then take care of his mama. Okay.
You said at first he seemed like he was crying and said, did his demeanor change or fluctuate as the time progressed?
It did. Okay. It was like a roller coaster ride. At first upset, then brief time later, completely calm, cool, and composed. Very direct with his statements. Then he would give the appearance that he was upset again, and then he would be back to just very direct, speaking with me, speaking with anybody on scene. It was the weaning and weighing of those different demeanors.
And this is the first time that you had ever seen this dog, is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Couple follow-up questions.
All right, we're not always going to do cross, recross, all that, but okay.
But
I mean, we'll always do cross.
Some new evidence came up.
Okay.
I have to discuss. At the time, you were fairly new at you were still in your training phase of your work?
Correct.
Since then, have you had occasion to deal with people who've lost loved ones?
Yes.
Has it been your experience that roller coaster is consistent with how people grieve?
Depends. I would say that it's mostly, especially on first encounter with law enforcement, that you're going to have a much more consistent line of grief with somebody that had just lost a family member, loved one, or even just somebody that they cared about, a friend.
But the roller coaster happens, doesn't
it? It can.
No further questions.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions.
Now, one thing about this officer here is that he one of the people that talk as though he an expert on everything. That's one thing, and that's sometimes I have to catch myself from talking as though I'm just certain, or like I just know it all about everything. He know about the dogs, he know about the flies, he know about everything, and that was a very good recross from the defense attorney, in my opinion, because you know, you can't say how people gonna act or not act or what, what's the normal grieving look like. So that was a good question. That was a good recross from the defense attorney to bring up the fact that wasn't you a rookie? Wasn't you out there with a field trainer? Why he talking like he just know everything? Anywho, y'all, I want to thank y'all for joining me here with this. This is part one. Going forward, I'll be bringing these to you, the rest of the parts to this particular trial in the evening time. I'm thinking like around 6:30 actually. I will schedule it. I want to show one more witness today of the medical examiner, because baby, the medical examiner is the one who said, this is not natural causes. This is definitely murder by neglect. So that witness is coming up next. Thank y'all for y'all patience and for joining me with this. Let's go ahead and get into it, and then we can go ahead and close this out for the day. One more witness, y'all.
Questions for Officer Pechtel? Now would be the time to write them down. If you didn't get note cards, let's make sure they're passed around. And if there are no questions, that's fine too.
Now, one thing about the reason why, just for you guys, why they kept asking about
all right,
the
please
dog.
only write on one side of the cards. They end up, all the cards go into the record, whether the questions are asked or not. And you can put more than one question per card if you have any at all.
It's because the family members and the neighbors,
only on one side of the card.
during the opening statement, they were saying that because the dog was so aggressive,
and you don't have to.
That's why they didn't go in the house. So I think that's why they keep talking about that dog and the dog's character and personality type, because he was saying, I think the defendant or whatever, they were saying that the dog was aggressive. Now the cop just said it was like a big old puppy. He wasn't aggressive. So more about that will come out later, I guess. By the time we hear from this next witness, that'd be all I didn't saw of the trial. I didn't go any further because I knew I was gonna watch it with y'all. Yeah, I gotta show y'all my fish tank in my room. I'm in the process of trying to recover my tanks, because I let them go down. My fish are some thugs. They made it through the storm, right? So one day at a time, my fish tanks are recovering too. I'm gonna have to show y'all, get some video, do a short or something on my bedroom tank. I'm just getting that back up to par. And got a couple of new fish this week to put up in there, so I'll show y'all.
All right, counsel, if you'll come with me, please.
Okay, we're gonna skip through all that. Hold on.
If the jury's going to need to learn about that, we'll have that person here. So apart from what people told you to include your field training officer, I'm just wondering if there was anything you observed that would have prompted you, if you even had the authority as the non-field training officer, to get on the radio to say, we need homicide.
The only thing that raised some suspicion in that to me was the multiple statements regarding the life insurance policy. Like I stated, I never touched the body, so I couldn't make the assessment of Mr. Rooks's mother. But the only thing that raised my suspicion was the multiple questions regarding a life insurance policy.
Did you and Mr. Rooks discuss in your conversation with him?
These are questions from the jury.
What position his mother was in when she was on the couch, and he said he needed to get her off the couch? Was she sitting? Was she lying? What?
He had stated that she was sitting on the couch. Therefore, once she got stuck, she was in the couch. So from that statement, I took that she was more upright, and had slipped into the cracks towards the back of the couch and the side of the couch.
In the house, inside the residence, did you observe human feces?
Later on, after the blanket was taken off of her by fire, and the medical examiner was there, yes, there was human feces there as well. One of the stages is that when a body passes away, that it will start releasing the fluids and material in the body.
Did you see dog feces inside the house?
I did.
Did you and Mr. Rooks discuss at all whose dog it was? You explained that Mr. Rooks put the dog up in that room. Did you speak with him at all about whose dog it was?
I do not recall that conversation. We probably did, but I don't recall that conversation.
Okay. Ms. Hilton, do you have any follow-up based
Hey,
on
OG.
what Officer Pechtel and I just discussed? Mr. Korn?
No, Your Honor, I'm good.
All right. Officer Pechtel, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Ms. Hilton, your next witness?
Yes, Your Honor, 6 on call, investigator Gilbo.
Well, they're rocking and rolling through this trial.
Before Investigator Gilbo comes in, ladies and gentlemen, my thought is that we go a little ways past noon. We may not finish this witness. I know you didn't have a morning break, but we didn't start till 10 and you actually had a mini break right after you came in. Is there anyone for whom going for another 20 minutes or so, whether we finish this witness or not, would be a problem? 'Cause if you want to take a
no breaks, straight gas. All right, this is the medical examiner. The second witness.
Potentially.
After he get off the stand, we're gonna be done for the day, and I will come back tomorrow evening. Let's go ahead and get this
mask off.
No
all right.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, Ms. Fedora, thank you for joining. We on the second witness.
Oh, sorry.
State
We're
of
ready.
Georgia
Well,
versus,
witnesses.
I can never say this man. What's his name? His first name? Hilliers Rooks. 51-year-old son accused of unaliving his 83-year-old mother on the stand now as the second witness, the medical examiner. And that's going to give y'all all information about the shape she was in.
For almost 25 years at the Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office.
And what did you do for the Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office?
Yeah, it was some case. We definitely watched the trial. We watched the trial, if not two, from this this particular judge, Judge McBurney. And I remember one trial, I don't know, somebody had a still Bob or something went to that you was on. Y'all was just all on this woman, Bob. But this, I can't remember the exact details of it, but it was like a 2 or 3 day trial that we watched, and it was real interesting. I just can't remember right now. We watched so many trials, y'all. But let's go.
I was a senior investigator when I retired.
And he told the jury about your education, training, and experience that allowed you to perform your duties as a senior investigator.
Okay, I had a bachelor's, master's, and PhD in anthropology. I worked as an anthropologist for the.
Wait a minute. Yeah, this is exactly. You got a good memory, Winter. That's exactly what it was. The woman shot her had shot her boyfriend, and it was something about the sister was at the job, and they had some kids in the house. All that stuff. That's exactly that. That's the same judge, Judge McBurney. Yep. Good memory, Winter.
Medical examiner's office, but that was just one of my jobs. I was also a investigator. So on day to day, I did investigations, and periodically I would look at skeletal remains.
And when you say you do investigation with the medical examiner's office, what does that mean?
Basically, investigators for us are people that go out to death scenes and gather information about the person that has died. We may take pictures, we talk to the family, we look at the scene, because our doctors, at least at Fulton County, do not have the time to go out on scenes routinely. So we go out, we gather all the information to basically present the case to them so that they can have a better idea of what happened.
And as an investigator with Fulton County, how were the cases assigned in your office?
The calls would come in and they would announce over the PA system that the call was in, and basically whoever could activate their phone could take the case.
And then you would go out to that scene.
Yes, ma'am.
What do you do once you get to the scene?
Generally, when we get to the scene, we'll talk to if it's a police officer who has called us, we will talk to the police officer. Excuse me. Find out, what's going on, who is who, what basically what's going on, and then we'll proceed into the home to take a look at the person that has passed away.
And you have that initial conversation generally outside of where the body is.
Most of the time outside.
Why is that?
Well, we don't know if it's going to be a crime scene yet, so the police are going to not disturb the scene any more than they need to. Plus, they're outside typically by their car, so that's typically where it happens.
Now, how many death scenes you've been at Fulton County 25 years, you're at Clayton County a year and a half? How many death scenes have you been to?
I tried to calculate and I never did come up with an exact number, but at Fulton it was around 5,700.
And are all these scenes considered homicide scenes when you go out to the scene?
They teach us to view every scene as potentially a homicide until you can prove it otherwise. But a lot of times, within 10 seconds, this is not a homicide. So, we try to safeguard everything as best we can in case it's a homicide, but most of the time you can figure out that it's not soon after you get there.
And as a medical examiner investigator, do you have the occasion, so when you go out to the scene and begin your investigation, to maybe assist in determining how that person may have died or what may have happened?
Yeah, we can certainly, when we generate our reports, we can express our opinion as to what we think has happened. Sometimes they're more complicated, sometimes they're very straightforward, but that's typically what we do in our report.
And how many scenes have you been to over the course of your years in which the death was that of an elderly person?
Most of them. Most of the people that pass away are elderly people, and most of them were natural causes. But if they pass away at home, that's one of the things that we would go out and take a look at.
Now, when I take you to February 8th, 2017, did you have the occasion to respond to 1251 North Avenue in Atlanta, Georgia, in response to a deceased person?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that location in Fulton County?
Yes, ma'am.
If you can recall, and if you remember, do you remember what day of the week this was that you responded?
I think it was a Wednesday.
And I know it's been years later, but I asked the same thing. Do you know about what time you responded?
It was in the morning. I don't remember exactly, around maybe 8:30, 9 o'clock, something like that.
It was the morning of February.
Yeah, because it was after our morning meeting that we had at the office. And plus the medical student and the resident physician were there, and they only worked during the day.
And at the time you were, why did you respond to this?
The police officer reported that there was a deceased person that had been found at home. So that's typically what we respond to.
And what did you do once you received the call?
We gathered my gear, got the resident doctor and the medical student, took the van out to the address where the death had occurred.
And at the time when you responded, did you know if this was going to be considered a homicide or not?
No.
Well, damn, it sounds like she keep repeating the same question to me.
What, if any, information did you have about the victim prior to arriving on us?
Maybe the lady's name, maybe her age, and that was about it.
And if you did have her name and her age, would you have recorded that somewhere?
Probably in my notebook somewhere, yes, ma'am.
And would you have generated a report later on once you got back to the office?
Yes, ma'am. That's how we did it.
And when looking at a copy of the report, help you remember her name and date of birth in this case.
Yeah, I have a copy of my investigative summary.
Okay.
Black.
Darryl, may I approach you with?
Sure, you can just make sure it's the same thing. I want to make sure Mr. Korn has the same thing, but if we're all talking about it, looks like a brief document.
So they African American, and this is in Fulton County, Atlanta, Georgia. Now, because it's gonna be a couple of day trial that we're watching, a few days, I'm gonna go ahead and get the pictures. They showed a picture doing the opening statement. I'm gonna do a screenshot and make sure I had that. And then I'd already searched to try to find a Google picture of the defendant. The images didn't come up on Google, but they showed him at the table. So I'm gonna go back and catch a screenshot of that too, so I can have it for y'all. I'm gonna get back in the groove of things. Let's see.
Wants to be in the record, the report. I don't think it's something that the jury would see. I don't know that it's anything that would be published. Do you object making it part of the record?
I do not.
Okay, so I'm going to admit 44. It's one of the exhibits. It would be one that we'll discuss before all the evidence goes out to the jury as to whether it's included in that universe. I suspect not, but you'll have a chance to talk about that. So it's admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. And looking back to her, what was the victim's name?
Miss Medotha Rooks,
And what was her date of birth?
5/31 of 33,
And how old was she?
83 at that time.
And tell us what happened once you got to the scene.
We got to the scene. There were 2 Atlanta police officers near their patrol car. In addition to the decedent's son, they were just kind of chit-chatting. I was able to speak to them at that time, find out kind of what was going on. That if I remember correctly, the lady had been seen alive the day before and was found deceased that morning, at which time the son called 911 to report that his mother had passed away.
And when you said she was seen alive the day before, what do you mean?
She was alive and breathing, according to the son.
Okay, so when you say alive, you mean she was breathing?
Ain't no
Yes,
way
ma'am.
possible with all them flies and the smell of a dead body from the door.
What did you do?
We went up the steps to the front of the house and to view the decedent.
And what did you know to observe once you started going into the house?
When we first went in, she was right inside. She was in the first room that we went into, and she was lying on the floor, no clothes on, stains around the body, flies flying around. And, this kind of was unusual as far as how most elderly people are found.
And when you say it was unusual, what do you mean?
Well, I think we had gotten information that she possibly suffered from dementia, but she was completely naked, had no adult diaper nearby, and was lying on the floor, not in a bed. It was not a bed. She was next to the sofa.
And in the scene that you had mentioned with elderly people, were some of the other things you just mentioned there, the adult diapers in a bed, not on the floor, not naked.
Right.
Once you saw her body like that, what were your thoughts as the medical investigator?
Well, of course, we wondered, how did she come to be this way? And we looked around a little bit more. She had decubitus ulcers on her hip. There were fly pupil cases around the body. The stain on the floor was, at least to me, a combination of urine and feces. She just appeared to not have been well taken care of.
And when you say decubitus ulcer, you can briefly describe what you're referring to, what you're.
Hey, Sassy Friend, thank you for joining.
Decubitus ulcer
Welcome
is a
back to the
pressure
box.
sore when a person is lying in the same position for an extended period of time. A lot of times nursing home patients that have to lie in a bed all the time will get a decubitus ulcer on the sacral area, the small of the back, or the hips if they're laying on one side and the other. The surface that is touching the mattress, also the heels when you're laying on your back, will get a diminished blood supply, and it will make an ulcerated spot on your body. The tissue will break down.
And generally, how long does it take for the decubitus ulcer to heal?
I don't know exactly, but it's over a period of days and weeks typically.
Now, you talked about you walked around the house. You can tell the jury, what was the condition of the home as you kind of walked around?
I mean, from the room that the lady was in was kind of the den, kind of living room. If you went to the left, that was the kitchen. If you went to the back of the house, there was a bathroom and a bedroom back there. Then there was another bedroom or two back there too. Sparsely furnished in the room where she was. But the rest of the house was, one of the rooms was very cluttered. I think that was a bedroom. There was a dog locked in the bathroom that I never did see until they took him out by animal control. But kind of, some people live in different ways than others, but somewhat cluttered mostly.
And you talked about when you saw the body start to see flies. If you could tell the jury, are you familiar with the life cycle of a fly?
Yes, ma'am.
And how are you familiar with the life cycle?
As a forensic anthropologist, we deal with maggots and flies and insects all the time.
And you can tell the jury briefly about the cycle of a fly.
Okay. There are basically 4 parts to the life cycle of a fly. They lay eggs. The eggs hatch, which is a maggot. The maggot will form a pupal case, which is kind of like a cocoon, and then the cocoon hatches and it's an adult fly. So then the adult flies lay eggs and the cycle continues. So there's basically 4 stages.
And how long did you take for a fly to go through those 4 stages?
Some are quicker than others. Each species is different, but typically within 3 or 4 or 5 days, they can complete the whole cycle.
And when you saw Ms. Rooks on the ground, what cycle, was it multiple cycles of flies or one cycle? Or?
Yeah, I do not remember seeing any live maggots, but I remember seeing the pupal cases, which were the like the little cocoons. When they hatch, they leave a little brown shell. It's like similar to an eggshell, but it's not like an egg. And then the adult flies. Those are the only 2 that I remember seeing.
Now, I know you said earlier that you had spoken with.
And mind you, he talking about this is on the woman's body. Okay. When he said he seen the whatever it's called, the fly egg or whatever shell, that was on the body. But yet this man say he seen his mama alive the day before. But they got flies. She didn't be laid there unless she was in such disrepair and so with these open sores and stuff that even when she was alive, the flies was laying eggs on her and in her. That's even more horrific.
The 2 officers that were on scene, did you speak to anyone else?
The lady's son also.
And do you recall what his name was?
Mr. Rooks.
And did you put his name inside the investigative report?
Yes, ma'am, I think I did.
And you can just look at the report and tell us if that helps refresh your memory as to what his name was.
Let's see. Yeah, Mr. Hilius Rooks. Yes, ma'am.
And what information was he able to provide?
I mean, we just had some basic questions for him. When was the last time he saw his mom alive? When did he find her? What her medical history was? Who her doctor might have been, what medications she took, those basic kind of questions.
Okay, so let's start with victim medical history. Did he tell you or provide to her medical history?
Yeah, he said that she suffered from dementia.
Did he say anything else about her medical history?
I don't really recall anything else at that point, no ma'am.
Did he tell you about when was the last time she had been to the doctor?
Yeah, it had been quite some time because I remember he said that her doctor had passed away.
Did he tell you whether or not she took any medication for her Alzheimer's?
Yeah, she had no current medication.
Well, that answer, see, we didn't even think about that, Lady Aries. We thinking we trying to make uncommon sense be common sense, right? We trying to make uncommon behaviors. We thinking with common sense, and it's not a common situation, right? And I say that because Lady Aries say, well, damn, if he just walking past her when she eating or when she taking her medicine, we wasn't even thinking about the fact that the woman ain't had no insurance in years. She ain't went to the hospital in years. So yeah, she's supposed to be on some medication, but it wasn't no medication to give her. He hadn't took his mama to the hospital, to the doctor, regular doctor, in over 2-3 years. So she didn't even have no medication. We didn't think about that because we thinking with common sense. Ooh, shameful. I wouldn't even go to trial, let nobody hear all this shit.
Now, did you ever?
I'd be like guilty, just lock me up.
I don't remember how he had on a work shirt, had Georgia Tech on it, but that was all that I knew. And I think he was a full-time employee.
Do you probably write in your report what he did at Georgia Tech?
I think so. I thought he had some kind of a service job at Georgia Tech.
But looking at the copy of the report, how professional is what he told you he did at Georgia Tech?
I don't know if he actually told me or if I assumed from his uniform, but some sort of maintenance or service type job.
And did he tell you during that conversation about how he would leave his mother when he would go to work?
Yes, he said that he would leave to go to work in the morning. He would leave her usually seated on the sofa, and the family dog would be in the house with her.
And what kind of dog was it?
He was a Rottweiler type dog, I believe.
Now, did he tell you how his mother came to be on the floor? How she came to be on the floor?
I don't remember that he said that part of it.
Did he discuss with you the couch-related injury about how she was
Yes,
on the
ma'am.
couch?
As far as I remember, the middle part of the couch was caved in, and he told me that a few days prior, she had gotten her buttocks stuck in that space in the couch, and that when he got home, he had to help her up out of the sofa because she was kind of stuck in that part of the sofa.
And did he tell you how he kind of got her off of the sofa?
As far as I remember, he just, kind of picked her up and pulled her out of that space.
And did you ask him, or did he tell you whether or not he had called 911 as it relates to him having to pull her off of that couch a few days prior?
Yeah, I think I asked him, but he said he did not seek any medical attention at that time.
Do you recall him talking about where he lived when he spoke?
So she just stuck in the couch.
Yeah, at that time, he was
Okay.
living there with his mom, but that had only been for about 2 weeks. And prior to that, he had a place that he lived in Buckhead, but he had only moved to the home for had only been living there for about 2 weeks.
Now, after you spoke with him and observed the victim and conditions, what did you do?
Wait. So he had just moved back home with his mama in the last 2 weeks. So all that other time with her having dementia, being 83 years old, he just let her be in the house by herself. Okay.
Well, I was concerned about the circumstances of her death, and if there was some
Pause. This is interesting. So Lady Aries say, I'm not trying to get this man a pass at all, but perhaps he has mental illness, which resulted in avoidance. Sometimes people just can't deal with stuff, even though he was spending her money. Well, I think that's a case that maybe two things can be true at the same time, right? But I don't think it. I'm gonna say I think two things can be true at the same time, meaning maybe depression about his mama getting old, or avoidance of the situation, and yet at the same time doing funny things with the money. But I would think if he had some type of mental illness or something, then that would have been part of the investigation too. If they would have found that he had mental illness, then they would have let him off the hook. Now that's just my opinion, as we talking about it. You know what I'm saying? Went to say, child, he been living there. I think he lived there, and I think he probably lived between there and some woman, or man, it's 2025, be more open-minded. And when the woman didn't want to deal with his ass, he came home. Because his money was going somewhere.
possible neglect.
Her money was going somewhere.
So I contacted APD homicide, asked them to have a detective come out along with their crime scene unit.
And why were you concerned that there might be some possible neglect?
Well, out of the cases that I've worked, most people that we see die of natural causes and are being cared for by their families or a caregiver of some sort. And you can see the level of care that they have. They have medical supplies, they have adult diapers, they have a hospital type bed. They are on these absorbent pads on the bed. There's a lot of stuff that goes along with it. I didn't see any of that in this case.
Now, after you called for the homicide unit, or not you called, what did you do in order to get the homicide unit to come out?
I think I went down to the patrol officers that were there and asked them to call homicide on the radio, because that's always a faster way than us trying to call anybody on the phone.
And do you recall that they did call homicide?
Yes, ma'am, they sure did. Officer Jackson,
Officer Jackson called homicide.
as far as I remember.
And after you had them call homicide, what else did you do as a part of your investigation to memorialize the scene?
At some point, I took photographs of the scene of the decedent and just some of the surrounding information that I was going to include in my report to our doctors at the medical examiner's office.
I'm going to show you what I've already shown the defense counsel as Stacey Exhibit 12. If you can look at Exhibit 12 and 43 and tell me if you recognize.
Yes, ma'am. That's it. That's the scene that I was at.
And you looked at all of them?
Well, the first one is the lady who passed away.
So what I need you to do is look through all of them. While you're doing that, I'm going to ask the jurors their first conference question. Some of the photos that the state may share with you may be a little difficult to look at, as Ms. Hilton forecast in her opening. And we're about at the lunch break. And so I need you to let me know, is it better for you to see these before you eat or after you eat? It may not make a difference, in which case we've still got some time before I was going to have you break for lunch. But if it is significant to you all to have eaten before or after, you should confer and give me a group session answer.
Okay, so this gonna be the pictures that I'm gonna put myself big, and then the ones that I think okay, I'll show y'all, and then the ones that I know ain't okay, I'll keep myself big over it. Okay, so y'all be able to hear the testimony.
I'm hearing either way.
Yep, the ones that I will show.
Is that folks are neutral? I mean, prefer not to look at unpleasant pictures, but it's going to happen.
Okay.
Okay. Let's press on a little bit more.
Hold on. So
Please.
Make sure you take care of yourself. Where's my trigger warning thing I typed? Let me see. I thought I wrote a trigger warning.
Okay.
And looking at Exhibits 12 through 43. So does those fairly accurate depict the scene as you recall it on February 8, 2007?
Yes, ma'am.
You're at this time to say like a tender stage of 12 and 43 is that?
Mr. Korn?
I'm not going to object.
Okay. They're admitted.
Can y'all write a trigger warning for me?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
First, looking at Stacey's exhibit number.
Want me to do it here? Okay, so stop sharing. I'm gonna do it.
Oh, we're working on the tech.
I'm gonna do it.
I guess I should have told the state, get the pictures ready during that long time the investigator was looking at the images. All right.
If you can kind of describe to the juror what we're seeing and what we're seeing.
Pretty much as soon as we came in through the door, this is the decedent as we
Thank you, Fedora.
viewed her.
Oh, look how
right on the
dirty.
floor,
Oh my
covered with
God.
that, light colored blanket. and then the sofa propped
God.
up against the wall behind her.
Oh my God. Look
And
how filthy.
were you able to tell or determine the stuff that's kind of on the blankets, a couple of those stains? Were you able to look at and determine what those stains were?
We did, our opinion was human waste of some sort.
Okay. Now looking at State's Exhibit number 15. Fifteen. Is that your hand in the,
I think it is because we use those blue gloves.
what were you trying to take a picture of when you were, if you can recall, when you were holding her hand?
Look at her nails. Wow.
Probably just her hand and her fingernails.
Now looking at State's Exhibit 17. If you can zoom into 17. What are we able to look at or see in 16 and 17, if anything, of significance?
Oh, I was documenting the ring that was on her finger.
Now State's Exhibit number 18. You can rotate, please. And we'll say it again.
That's some things.
Just so your team is oriented, you generally want it displayed so that the exhibit sticker is face up. All right, let's try to do that.
Oh my
Okay.
God.
What are we looking at, State's Exhibit number 18?
The staining on her palm, which kind of looked like blood, and then the pupil cases that were stuck to her thumb.
And the people that we discussed earlier in that kind of life cycle of the fly.
Yes, ma'am.
Stage.
Yes, ma'am.
Ooh.
Now State's Exhibit number 19. This one might be slightly oriented differently, with the State's Exhibit up in the upright hand corner. But it should be upside down. And here, what are we looking at?
The condition of the eye. Soon after a person passes away, the eye will be very clear and moist. This one is kind of getting cloudy, which gives us a little bit of an idea of how long the person may have been deceased.
And this I'm looking at is how long do you think she may have been?
It's hard to tell just from
all
that,
all
but
them flies and all that stuff that
she hadn't
shit
just
all
passed away
around
within
her on
the
her head
previous
and
few
stuff.
hours. So it was,
Oh my
12
Lord,
to
let me
24
be
hours that she had
better
passed away.
daughter.
So we by the time.
Let me make sure I be available.
So 12 to 24 hours.
Just based on that.
Just based
Damn
on
sure.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, when you look at to the bottom of the picture, is this some of the pupae that you were still referring to?
Yes, ma'am.
Kind of like on the ground and around her body?
On the carpet, yes, ma'am.
And looking at State's Exhibit number 20.
What is that? Okay, y'all need
Is
to.
this looking at the opposite eye?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
And
this
are
is
you
the
seeing that
picture.
same kind of cloudiness as was in the other eye?
Yes, ma'am. Same thing.
It would indicate that same type of condition that she might have been deceased for at least 12 to 24
He didn't even
hours.
make
Yes,
sure his
ma'am.
mama had some clothes on, a house
All
gown.
right.
That just
Now I'm gonna show you what's been marked as
disgraceful.
State's Exhibit 22.
Oh Lord, look at this house. Oh, wait. Oh my gosh. Hold on, hold on. This is not funny, Lord. I'm laughing out of discomfort. Okay.
Now, is this how you found the body once you took off the blanket?
Yes, ma'am.
And if you can tell the jurors what we are looking at, what we are seeing as we look at.
Look at them sores on this woman's body. I'm gonna cover it up, but look at this shit.
And you can use.
Look at them ulcers and shit on this woman's body. That don't make no motherfucking sense. I am getting so mad. I swear to God. Just the woo.
Yes, and then you get that kind of circle.
With my finger?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That area that I circled is the ulcer that's on her right hip. And,
he said that he saw her moving
again,
live and
it's
breathing the day before.
Open wound. It started to dry a little bit, but basically what we're seeing is the fat and muscle tissue underneath the skin.
And what else?
And then y'all, they got forks.
What appears to be
hold on.
feces. And
y'all, they got forks. They got forks all around her body because she's been laying on that floor for days and shit. So apparently that's where the woman laid, lived, ate, everything in that filth. Do you hear me? Oh my God. Okay, I'm not gonna show that picture no more. Okay. I'm probably not gonna show no more pictures, y'all. But I was trying to just let y'all get a real idea of what was going on. Okay. I didn't push play. I had to take a moment.
And more fly, pupil cases, and just general staining. And
yes, I was tripping. I forgot
fecal material on the lady's body, which is not unusual.
I remember it was a lot, but
generally it's taken care of in a different fashion.
And also looking, we see some other objects like orange, forks, and all those things. But those kind of underneath.
Yeah, those were kind of
like,
in and around the decedent. Yes, ma'am.
And that's to say that you always placed that there. That was there once you uncovered the blanket from over.
Once we removed the blanket, this is what we saw.
Thank you. You can take it down. Now, when you were examining her body, did you see multiple ulcers on her?
Yeah, the right and left hip, and I believe the small of the back.
And is it your job to examine the ulcers in depth, or does that left up to the medical?
That's left up to the medical examiner.
So you take the initial picture, and then you'll take all this information and give it to the medical examiner. We'll do the full examination of her body.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So here, medical
I'm
examiner,
going to show you
investigator.
what has been admitted as State's Exhibit number 24. And what are we
not gonna show y'all that picture?
That is when we roll the body over, that's the left hip.
But let me just
And it
tell
also
y'all,
has
she just covered in
large
poop
ulcer
and shit.
on it.
Her feet are black. She got ulcers all open, huge
right
ulcers up and down her ribs, on her arm.
And then I'm going to show you what has been admitted as State's
Down the
Exhibit
back of
number
her
26.
legs.
I think you should be able to make what you put up 26, what you mark.
Yeah, that filthy blanket was over her.
Yeah, I don't.
There's a undo circle on the left-hand side. It's a circle with a little arrow. If you tap that once, see that circle with an arrow right there? You're pointing at it. Tap it once.
I gave y'all a trigger warning.
Just tap the.
I'm trying to wait.
Try tapping that circle again.
And let me
We're
just
just trying to figure out how to
make.
make. If she stops screen sharing and shares again, that'll make.
Now, y'all saw that ulcer on this woman, right? Now, is it safe to say, with her having all these open wounds on her body, bleeding and oozing and shit, that when she got stuck in that couch, when he pulled her off the couch, that had to have hurt her? If she stayed in the one position all the time with all these open sores naked, wouldn't it be safe to say she probably got stuck, not stuck in the cushions, but the scabs and shit just got stuck? Her body got stuck next. And he just pulled her off and just peeled it all off and hurt her even more and caused the pain.
All right, thank you. It worked.
He must have hated his mama. He had to hate her. I mean, you can't love somebody and treat them like this. You can't. It's impossible. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. This is where I stopped watching it and said I was gonna watch it with y'all. I needed companionship while I watched this trial.
Yeah, this is the ulcer that's on the sacral area, the small of the back. Wait, no, let me. Yeah, it's the upper back. I'm sorry.
And now
It's almost
showing
over.
exhibit 27.
I ain't showing y'all no more pictures. But y'all, he describing it. Oof. And she looked malnutrition.
What are we looking at, exhibit 27?
This is once the decedent's body was placed, getting ready to be placed into the body bag.
Okay. And is that injury that's on the bottom right hand part, that's the same injury we were just looking at?
Yes, ma'am, that's the left hip.
Okay. And when you put her in the body bag,
Before you take, is this black area? Looks like fabric or something. Do you know or recall what that is? It's actually what's in the middle of the circle right now.
The judge asking questions.
Some kind of material that was adhering to the body.
Oh, I just said that. Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm sorry, y'all. Oh my God.
because when you, thank you for that, when you pick up the body, you just, or we didn't place the body in the body bag, you just pick up her body as is and place it into the body bag.
Well, we have a removal service that came out, and the two guys from the removal service physically pick up the body from its original location to place her into the body bag.
And you don't remove anything that is.
Yeah, I just thought,
No, ma'am.
girl, I got
No, ma'am.
girl.
Occasionally, they may drape a sheet over the
This make me
body
cry.
before they pick it up,
You don't
or
get a dog
place
like
the
that.
body on a sheet inside the bag.
Now, looking at State's exhibit number.
I should have gave myself a trigger warning. God damn it. This is horrible.
Once you put the body in the body bag, what do you?
We generate a tag with the information on it. And
Look at
then
her skin right there.
that little red thing is a seal that we put on the bag to basically lock it. I mean, it's not like a lock that you put on your shed, but if you tamper with it and break that lock, we know that it's been tampered with. It's similar to the little lock that they put on your electric meter, so they know if it's been tampered with. And it's got an individual number on it, and that's what the seal number is. On the opposite side of that red seal is that number. And then that is how the person is transported back to the medical examiner's office inside the bag with the seal and the tag.
And then is it then unsealed by the medical examiner once they begin to perform the autopsy?
Not to be unsealed until the time of the autopsy.
Now, in addition to taking pictures of the Ms. Rooks, did you also take pictures of the scene as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and why do you do that?
Just to document what else we saw, general conditions of the home.
So he
Are you gonna
basically
shift to
ripped
that
his
topic?
mama off the couch.
All right, so I think what we'll do is break for lunch. I need to figure out.
Now, can y'all imagine going to lunch after seeing that? Now, the judge knew what picture was about to be shown. The judge should have made that decision for them people. You know what I'm saying? Okay, y'all, I've seen the pictures. Y'all go ahead and have lunch now. And when we come back, we're going to continue. He's sending this jury to go eat lunch after they didn't seen that shit. Oh my God. And I'm sorry, y'all. I tried to give y'all a trigger warning. If I upset anybody with this, because I didn't upset myself watching this shit, my apologies. You know what I'm saying? My apologies.
How to make the circles disappear, because that's going to be frustrating.
And then he's going to come back and we're going to finish his testimony. Ain't no more of those graphic pictures, but we will see more. I think y'all be interested in seeing how that house, what condition that house was in. They finna show more of that. And I want to see that. And then he finished.
Good afternoon, everyone. You all can be seated. Welcome back from lunch. Hope you found something kind of nearby to eat. One thing I forgot to mention, although it looks like you're already doing it, which is good. No one owns any one of these seats. I encourage you to sit in a different seat from time to time because you literally get a different perspective in the courtroom. So someone may need a seat for hearing purposes, or the seats all the way to the right, the way.
Okay, so how she was positioned, how she had been for however long she was in.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, hold on. All right, this is the last part, y'all.
And the fact that her legs were crossed, does that have anything to do with the
correct,
time
Winter?
her
I see
body
what
may
you're
have been
saying.
on the ground and that she may have been deceased for? Can we even tell as to why her body may have been like she did like
Sometimes, excuse me, sometimes when a person is moved, if they're laying flat on their back and they are rolled over one way or the other, you may get the legs to cross. But I mean, I thought that pretty much the way she was the way she had died.
Okay, so how she was positioned, how she had been for however long she was in.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now we were talking about briefly taking pictures of the rest of the home while you were there. And I'm going to show you what's been admitted as State's Exhibit number 29.
This man took one look at that shit and said, call homicide, call homicide. Look at that shit.
And looking at State's 29, describe your significance taking this picture on the day of February 8th.
This was a picture of the floor underneath where the decedent had been. So once her body was removed, this is what was underneath her.
And it appears to be an uneaten orange. Was that there?
Yes, ma'am.
Remove the body?
Yes, ma'am. And I think that bottle of water still had water in it.
How could she open?
And then there's multiple,
and if she got dementia, is she gonna remember to drink?
Yes,
is she gonna remember to
and
eat?
there also appears to be a bottle of water inside of the couch.
It looks like it is, yes, ma'am.
And again, with that couch, that's how the couch was and appeared when you all arrived on the scene.
Just the way it is the way we found it.
Now looking at State's Exhibit number 31.
I sure wish they take a picture of his bedroom. Let's show us how he living in the other part of the house. That's what I want to see.
Again, picture of the home. Is that again how it appeared on February 8th?
Yeah, if originally when we were looking at the body, this is to the left. So if we're looking further back into the home, this is what was in the other part of the room.
And State's Exhibit 32.
You need to be shaming his damn self. I sure want to see his
Same thing, the condition of the house when you got there.
Yes, ma'am.
And was that appears to be a broken chair on the?
It did appear to be broken. Yes, ma'am.
Now looking at State's Exhibit 33, and then we'll look at 34.
Mind you, she get her retirement check and pension. She get the husband pension. She ain't paying for no goddamn insurance. She ain't paying for no medication.
On the right was the bathroom.
And he couldn't do no better. Get no used couch.
The door to the left is the doorway to the bedroom that I assumed was for Ms. Rooks prior to her moving to the sofa area.
Or she lived on the sofa.
It had a string or a shoestring that was used to keep the door closed.
And is that how you found it when you walked inside?
Yes, ma'am, exactly as we found it.
Okay, so she lived on the couch. Got it.
And at the time that you were on the scene, do you recall if Mr. Rooks had ever told you how long, or if Ms. Rooks was ever sleeping in that bedroom at this point in time?
I don't remember that, no, ma'am.
Okay. Now looking at State's Exhibit 35.
What's that?
Now, can you tell me that 635, what, which room, is that still that same room that had
The string on the door? Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So
And
she
now
ain't been in
looking
that
at
room.
exhibit 36.
Oh, show his room, please.
Where we looking at exhibit 36?
This was the other bedroom that appeared to be occupied.
That's his room?
And there appears to be some type of boxes and stuff in there.
So maybe
Yes,
he
ma'am.
didn't live there with her.
Are some of those, can you tell like the company that some of those boxes come from?
Not really. I mean, some of them look like they're from Amazon.
Is that because of the arrow indication?
Yes, ma'am.
I think we all know those boxes. All right.
So he wasn't living no better. I thought his shit was gonna be clean. I guess not. Oh, The floor buckling up.
And what's the picture 637?
This was the bathroom, once the dog was removed by animal control.
And I don't know if I heard you earlier. Did you actually see the dog?
I did when they were taking him out to
You asked that
to
already
be
here.
taken to the dog pound.
And can you describe the dog for us?
He looked like a Rottweiler dog,
Big, small?
big,
Okay. When we say big, can you tell pound wise how much?
70, 75 pounds.
Okay. And looking at Stacy's exhibit number 37, towards the back, this silver bowl, what does that appear to?
Looks like a water dish for a dog.
Looking at Stacy's exhibit 38.
Ain't no shower bench up in there. Ain't no none of that stuff they be having up in there for the bath for the older people.
This was the kitchen.
Okay. And that's again how the kitchen looks when you went in there.
Yes, ma'am.
Serve anything.
No, ma'am.
And what are some of the things that we can see on the side of the kitchen?
There looked like a bunch of, a bunch of food and a bunch of products of
spray.
different sorts. Kind of Raid insect spray.
It's like a bed bug kit in there as well.
Yes, ma'am. That was in a different picture, I think.
Or is that it to the front of it?
Oh, yeah, right there in the corner. Yes, ma'am.
Exhibit 39.
Yeah, it's been like that for a long, long time. So maybe he wasn't living up in there with her for very long, because I mean he could very well be living like that too, but shit, that food and stuff look like he been up in there
What
more
was your
than 2
purpose
weeks.
taking a picture of the refrigerator?
To show that there was food in the refrigerator.
And did the food look fairly recently purchased, if you may answer?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Yeah, that's some
Stacy
good old
exhibit number
stuff.
40.
You went to say nah, he was living there.
And they're just kind of further into the kitchen.
Yes, ma'am.
And then.
He was doing a
the
lot of
last
damn shopping,
picture-
wasn't he?
Well, excuse me, I'm sorry, not that. Stacy exhibit number 42.
He was doing plenty of shopping.
And what was the first taking pictures of what's in the content of the trash can?
It was the Boost nutritional supplement drink.
That's what she was living off.
package.
Okay. And you don't know when those were put into the trash can or anything like that?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And then last is Stacy exhibit number 43.
What's that?
And what's the
83 years
picture of
old. That's
Stacy
all the
exhibit
medicine up now.
These were the only 2 prescription vials that I found, and they were in
got more
that back
pill bottles
bedroom
than
that
that.
had the string on the knob. Both prescribed for the decedent, Ms. Rooks, and I think both were the same. They were the same prescription for the same drug, but from different years, and both were expired.
Okay, and how expired were they?
Years expired.
I'm going to show, I'm not sure if you can see on there. Can you look and see? At least for the one on the left-hand side, can you see the date?
Yeah, it looks like it was filled in 2007.
And this was 2017. 10 years.
The prescription, I might say it wrong, chlorphenol? Do
Yeah.
you know what it is?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Now, after you examined the body,
Okay.
and took pictures, did you have any other involvement, in this case?
No, ma'am.
And did that conclude your total involvement in this case, except for testifying here today?
Once I generated my report, that was it.
Okay. I have no further questions.
Mr. Korn?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now let's see how he gonna try to excuse this shit. Cross-examination.
Investigator Gilbert, am I pronouncing your last name right?
Yes.
Thank you. You view every scene as a potential homicide, is that correct?
Well, I didn't know exactly what it was, but it appeared to be something possibly other than a natural.
Okay. Here's my point. You are taught, I believe you testified, that you view every potential scene as a potential homicide.
Right.
And that's the presumption until and unless you see evidence that it's not a homicide.
Yes, sir.
That's correct?
Yes, sir.
There was plenty of food in the house. You saw lots of fresh food in the refrigerator.
As far as I remember, yes, sir.
Okay. You saw, however, a lot of, for lack of a better word, hoarding activity there. Would you agree that that's what that is?
There was a lot of stuff stored in the home, yes, sir.
I mean, 10-year-old pill bottles, the sort of stuff that somebody might keep for many years if they were, say, a hoarder.
Could be, yes, sir.
Okay.
He can't barely come up.
Were you able to tell whether the feces materials around the body and throughout the room were animal or human?
No, sir.
Okay. It might have been animal.
Could have been, yes, sir.
Okay. Now, you have no knowledge of whether Mrs. Rooks was covered up in her son's presence, do you?
I mean, all I know is how she looked when we got there.
You don't have any idea if he even knew about the bed sores.
Well, how wouldn't he know?
No, sir.
If he taking care of her. Come on now.
Now, approximately what time did you examine Mrs. Rooks' eyes?
It would have been 9:30-ish.
9:30ish in the morning.
Yes,
Okay. And you determined that they were cloudy?
right.
And that gives you, in your mind, an big approximation of the time of death?
Very approximate.
You wouldn't want to say to any kind of degree of scientific certainty, pin that down to 12 hours or 24 hours, would you?
Neither one.
Exactly.
Okay.
There's no excuse for this.
Did you have any
Greed.
indication of what the condition of her eyes were prior to her death?
None whatsoever.
Can eyes be cloudy prior to death?
Possibly so.
I mean, my wife's dragged me to movies that made my eyes cloud over, so
Really?
it's really not true. She didn't do that. In other words, you can't say to any degree of scientific certainty whether she had died 5 hours earlier, 6 hours, 12, 24 hours before that 9:30.
No, sir.
Okay. Would the medical examiner who examined the body be able to better pinpoint the time of death?
they look at a lot of things that are different from what I look at for different reasons.
And he's a medical doctor, correct?
Correct.
And you're
I'm not.
many things, not that. Okay.
We started a new trial. I'll be back on tomorrow. This time tomorrow.
No
I'll
further
be
questions.
on
Thank
time
you.
at 6:30.
Any redirect?
I just had time today. Come on early today.
Now, you were just asked, you go in with the thought, because I was trained that it's a homicide. It could be a homicide. When you call cases out, especially your elderly, because we go into a number of things. Do you often call the homicide unit out if you don't think it's a homicide?
No, ma'am.
Or if you don't think there's evidence of a homicide?
If there's no evidence of anything other than a natural death,
I like that
I won't be
picture,
calling them
Emery.
So in this instance, you saw something a little bit more than just being a natural death.
yes, ma'am.
Now,
You said it, I
if
didn't.
you
You're
recall,
late.
was there any medication or were they dead?
I think they were.
Let you pass today. I came up, popped up early.
Now, we just talked a moment about the eye cloudiness. In your experience in 25 years, what made you kind of determine, based upon the eye cloudiness, when the death could have occurred?
We look at a variety of things, the stiffness of the body, the temperature of the body, the eyes, to either fit in with the story of when the person was last seen or kick it out of that arena. If they say they last saw them 10 minutes ago and they've got full rigor, well, we know that can't happen. So we're just kind of documenting what we see at the time that we're there at a
He
particular
said he saw
time
his mama
to give that
alive the day
information to the
before.
medical examiner.
And you just said full rigor, what does that mean?
The body is as stiff as it's going to get.
And as it relates to Miss Rooks, what part of rigor was she?
I can't really remember. She was fairly flexible as far as I remember, so rigor may have already come and gone.
And so you take all of those things and all those factors to determine kind of when and approximate time.
Yeah, it's not like TV where the medical examiner says, oh, they died between 10:15 and 10:20. No, it doesn't work that way.
In real life, it doesn't work.
Not in real life, no ma'am.
You can only give an approximate time.
That's correct.
And in this case, could you give an approximate that it was closer to 12 and 24, or is it closer to like maybe 5 and 2 and 5?
More that she had passed away the previous day rather than that day.
Okay. No further question.
May I briefly?
You may.
But could it have been that evening?
It could have been early that morning.
Did you see anything in your examination or that was inconsistent with the story Mr. Rooks told you?
No, sir.
Thank you. No further questions.
Any questions from the jurors for Investigator
He ready
Gilbo?
to go.
I see a few cards. Anyone else need to write anything down?
He ready to get the hell up out of there. Okay, so they're getting the questions from the jury. And this is going to be, again, our last witness for today. And we'll be back tomorrow at 6:30 Central Standard Time for part 2. I have not seen any testimony beyond this testimony myself. So for the rest of the trial, we will be watching it together. Brand new eyes all together. And of course, I give a recap, Renee, before we end.
Counsel?
Okay, so I got some questions from the jury. Uh-oh, look like the next witness is going to be a family member.
Investigator Gilbo, was Ms. Rooks weighed at the scene where her body was collected?
No, they weigh. We don't have any way to do that on the scene. The medical examiner's office, one of the first things that they do when they come in is weigh the body.
She looked to me when I saw the full body picture.
Did the amount of fecal material you saw on and around, I don't mean like 5 feet radius, but directly on or around Ms. Rooks, seem like more or less or about the same as what you've encountered in your many other scenes with expired elderly individuals?
I really didn't have any point of reference for that. But it seemed like an appropriate amount for a few days. If she had a bowel movement, once or twice a day. But then again, I don't know anything other than what we saw, how long she had been there, any of that.
Was there anything about the scene that would have enabled you, were you able to determine if any of the feces were part of a bowel movement that occurred pre-death versus post-death?
Not really, no.
Meaning you not able to determine that?
No, I couldn't determine that because often when when a person passes away, all the muscles relax and they do evacuate.
Okay. Ms. Hilton, any follow-up?
None from the state, Your Honor.
Mr. Korn?
Just one quick question. You have no idea when the decedent last ate or how much?
No, sir, none whatsoever.
I see the medical examiner know
Thank
all
you,
that,
investigator, for being here. You are free to go.
Of the stomach and all that.
And one request for the jurors, if you've got a question, if you could sort of spell it out.
Okay, y'all. So I want to tell y'all again, thank y'all for coming in the Lit Lane jury box with me and starting this case with me. This was the case, or is the case, a trial of 51-year-old Hillius Rooks, the son of the deceased, who was 83, Madota Brooks. The state of Georgia is alleging that she died at his hand. And the reason why I picked this case to show y'all, and it's been on the books for me to show y'all for a while, is because, is this a case of homicide or is it a case of neglect? And or even if it's neglectful homicide, is that a thing? You know what I'm saying? Because it's no question as far as I'm concerned what we just saw. And then Renee, if you go back and review this, caution, trigger warning, they do have some pictures that I did show of his mom on that floor. Okay, 83 years old. We didn't already saw the condition of that house. We seen the condition that woman was laying there on that floor, naked. It looked like to me, the family members gonna be testifying tomorrow. Now that should be interesting. I damn sure want to know what they had to say about this man and what they thought about him, and and what I want to hear, what excuses they give for their own self not checking on this woman and going up in there. And have they been up in that house and saw the condition that woman was staying in? Because it wouldn't just be his response, it's his responsibility, but damn, it's a village. So we'll be back tomorrow night with part 2 at 6:30. I will schedule it. And you guys be there, be square. Y'all have a great rest of y'all evening, and I will see y'all on tomorrow evening. Bye, y'all. Check on your loved ones.